Well, how's it going? Hey, Martin Loney here. You know well who I am. Oh, ha, 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 ha. Today I'm going to do something a little bit spicy and experimental. What I'm going to try and do, hey, what I'm going to try and do is trying to get the two birds with the one Johnny man. Ha, 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 ha. So the crack is I'm gonna try and do a interview here on because I wanted to get two things done today. The first thing I wanted to do was a nice video with y'all on Maloney's Digest on the YouTube crack. But I also wanted to get a podcast for the Hardy Books podcast going. But I also wanted to make it in video format. And I think I might have figured out how to do it. Powered by StreamYard, yeah? Up there. Look at that. The little ducky. The little mallard in the corner, hey. Top eyes. But it's open source software. So I can use this, hey. I can use this. And I don't need to be too technical. It's all online. So it's kind of cool, man. Kind of cool. So our guest tonight is Al Harris, who's a sound owl skin. I met, funny enough, I seen him on Instagram about a year and a half ago. And it was like, Al Harris followed you on Instagram. And I was looking, I was like, geez, this lad's he's sitting in a bloody Lamborghini Diablo, a yellow one, like the one I wanted as a boy and a teenager and a grown man. And I said to him, fuck me, man, is that your Lamborghini? He was like, yeah, man, I sold it. I was like, fucking hell, this man seems to be working the game of life. But I've had the pleasure of getting to know him, and he's good old crack. Big fan of the Hardy Books. And he'll be coming on very shortly now. But oh ho ho, says Skeletron. How's everyone doing today as well? Any crack? We've got 24 players and big ballers in the house. So we got some tasty subject matter. A man, Shawnee Thornton, hey. How is Simon Strange? Got a couple of nice skins in the fucking lair tonight. In the lair. The beard is it's coming on nicely. There's me without the beard. And that's me with the beard. Berlin Ocelot. All good, no crack. Yeah, it's apparently there's a big a blackout in Texas at the moment, which is a bit mental. You got sub-zero temperatures. Texas. Is Bill Gates doing something with some sort of weird ion cannon? Geoengineering, boys. Has he got us all to ransom? Will he be dishing out tsunamis if we don't fucking pay for Windows 2025? I reckon a couple of lads should get a hold of Gates, man. Hold him down and just... You know, I say what should happen to Gates is this. A bunch of lads from Ballina Pool Hall should call round to his gaff in the heat of the night. Stick him there on a chair, right? Turn the lights off and wear night vision goggles. And just flake away at him at random times so he doesn't know when the next clock is coming. If you don't have the money for night vision goggles, you could just put a blindfold on him. It'd be a lot cheaper. But if you just want to get into the fucking Buffalo Bill vibe, go out and buy a couple of night vision goggles for yourselves. Do you know what I mean? Skeletron says, give Gates boy the vaccine of life. I'd say fucking Bill won't be taking the vaccine, man. Do you know what I mean? And I'd say this video has gone straight into the demonetization mode. I started day streaming minutes after waking, and now I'm still pissed off, but not shouting. Oh, you started the day screaming. That was a Carl Badcrack for anyone who's listening to this. Carl Badcrack. I started the day screaming minutes after waking, and now I'm still pissed off, but not shouting. Carl, it's a good start, man. If you're not screaming in fucking rage, man, that's all right. Jackson Avon, Vape Nation. I used to do a lot of vaping a couple of years ago, and my mate. Well, basically, I just kept breaking the tank on the K box, and I was just like, fuck this. I'm always on need the snooze, so it's kind of like, what's the point in vaping? And when I was training down in All Stars, you'd see like Alexander Gustafsson and Nicholas Beckstrom and all these pro fighters snoozing the whole time, even making videos about it. Gustafsson's got his own brand, and I just thought to myself, it's good enough for those boys. It's good enough for me. CJH93 says, Zuckerberg's cooking a bit of club shandy in his garage shed. He's a bad bastard. Kieran McAvoy, Texas Flood, Steve Ray Vaughan. Fair play to you for throwing that into the mix. Yeah, I've got to get into a bit of Steve Ray Vaughan. Actually, I keep saying it. No. What's my favorite brand? Is it ask Keelan? Is that Snooze? Is it? At the moment, I'm mostly using Lundgren's, and it's called Norland, which basically translates to Northland, as in Norland's up there in the north. What's wrong with you, mate? Please, I'm trying to do a live stream here, and you just give me the collie stir. Come up here to me. Come here. I was doing a bit of nose work with the dog because he's getting a bit bored lately. So he has a bone that it's fucking genius, man. It's plastic infused with the smell of bacon. And Quasho is giving out Jimmy Bars. You're very welcome to the show, Bars, as always. Maybe afterwards I could get Jimmy Bars on. Actually, do you know what, Bars? While we're waiting for Al Harris to turn up, send me your email on WhatsApp. And I'll get you on here for just test out this and see how it works. I can have up to fucking 10 people on at a time, sure. The wonders of the internet. Hold on, let me see if I can. Would you be up for coming on, Bars? Would you talk about the windows, man? Talk about the windows. Better test this out before I wreck myself in it. Lee Murphy, as they say in the States, bonjour, are you well? Go on, soul, says Jimmy Bars. Please, mate. I don't know what you need. After this, mate, I'll take you out. All right? I will take you out. I will do. Just sits there staring at me like some sort of mad lad. Grand job. Fair play for the fucking email there, Bars. The modern technology is something else, hey? Fucking something else. I can turn this into a proper chat show now. I've got the means. The greens. This is what I've wanted for fucking years, man. Now I finally figured it out. I can get people on for good crack. Bear with me now, and we'll get Man the Bars on. See what the crack is up in Liverpool. Bear with me now. Bear with me. Fucking send an old invite. We'll have a bit of crack with the lads. Bit of crack with Mr. Bars. Let me see. We'll get to see Bars, his first appearance on Maloney's Digest. It's gonna be biblical. Dan Dyer said, "The moody distwit. What you on Zoom? Landormer, how are you getting on, lad?" We had many's a chat that we have about tech a year on. I finally figured out. No, we're using StreamYard. I checked it out. Outlaw Barber, Tyler Schuler, how you doing? All the way from Oklahoma City. What's the weather like over there, baby boy? Let me see. You hop on there now, Baz. Patrick Teacup Ireland. Hey. But this is a nice little cozy chat. There's 39 of you. Give the plums up. The hardest of plums. But what was I going to say? I had a couple of things. Last night I watched. Man, I'm actually going to get you the link to this because you have to see this to believe it. After you've watched this, you have to. I mean, this is one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen. Maybe if I can figure out how to share the screen, I'll put a bit of it up on. Basically, it's called The Woman Who Married the Eiffel Tower. And it is by far one of the funniest fucking things I have seen in years. Let me see. I'll put this up in the chat. You can only use audio, but you give it a go, sure. Fucking go on, give it a go. So, have you not got one of those old computers? Here he is. Let me see. Add to stream. Mr. Bars, how you doing, baby boy?
How's it going, man? Can you hear me? What's the story?
I can indeed, mate. Nice. I was out up in Liverpool.
There's not really much crack, man. There's no fucking pubs, so it could be better, you know.
Oh shit! Sorry, one sec. That video is. I was wondering what the
Getting
noise was.
feedback. I'm using the phone.
Yeah, I can't any. If the viewers could kindly give us the Ashton Touchner on the feedback situation. Skeletron, the same program where the bird shags the roller coaster. The one that shagged the roller coaster. You know what? I've got to play that audio for you because I nearly pissed myself. Morton. Funny enough, Simon O'Toole, the woman who shags the roller coaster is like stateside. It's like it's the closest thing. Video unavailable. What? Nah. I'll double check it. Stick that air. I'm going to put on the audio where she's talking about. So basically, she's outside the Empire State Building, right? And she's very attracted to the building itself, and she's shifting the front door of the Empire State Building. And then this guy comes along and goes, "Ma'am, you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah." And then she talks to the Empire State Building and goes, "I think we're being watched." And then he comes up and he goes, "You can't do that here. You got to leave." And then she met her other friend who's basically has it off with the Berlin Wall, the Golden Gate Bridge. It all started with her bow and arrow. And then because she was so madly into the bow and arrow, she got, one second. How's it going now? I'm good to go, yeah. Did you get that invite, did you? Oh, let me see. I sent it to your email. Hold on. I can... Yo, one second. Bear with me. We got Al on the other line here. If this was when I was first live streaming, I'd be shitting me pants, but now I'm like, it's all G from Diego to the Bay. Let me see. Right, we'll get you on the chat soon, Al, and chat. We got Jimmy Bars in here holding the line. He's holding the fucking fort down. Nice. Hold the line. Oh, mate, fucking Steve Lucas are in the boys. Oh, yeah, any wonder says delivery status notification failure. Tubberquack Jr., thank you very much for the super chat. Brown envelope, Bertie Ahern job. Fucking spoken like, I love money. I love it. Give me all the money, as the Monaghan TD used to say. Let me see what the fucking creek is here. I'm going to copy the invite to the WhatsApp, and then we can do an ant and deck and get ready to rumble. So
a fucking ant and deck.
That's up there from Jimmy Bars.
Yeah, the lads is from up this way, like.
Hey, well, you can have the crack with Al, man. Good lads on the chat, man. Just good lads.
And we need good lads for good times when the pubs are shut.
Decent boys is right. I'll show them the picture, Al, of your mate's Ferrari. Check out this, hey. That's his beeswax partner has just wrapped the F12 a Ferrari, man. I want to go fucking spinning the toes and that around fucking Banada Abbey, hey. Take stateside if you can fucking fit that in. Dylan Antonio Stagno, thank you very much for the chat there, mate. I appreciate that.
Claw wedge.
A bit of claw wedge. Dear God, I need the wedge. Keep it coming. Saturday Night Touchner, says Simon O'Toole. It seems so. Jimmy, are you having a few tinies there, mate?
No, not tonight. I've got a bit of fucking G13 haze over, so...
G13 haze, is that of the...
G13 haze.
Bit of fucking Mr. Nice, like.
Fucking Al knows the crack well. He retorted there with G13 haze by fucking hell.
Fucking wheel of smoke next time I'm in Dublin, like.
He said it sounds like a car part that makes you slower. It's like, oh, here he is. He's entered the building. Here he is.
We'll stop this WhatsApp call now because it's gonna get fucking. We're gonna go into another dimension here with this going.
Al Harris, it's been. You're very welcome to the show, mate. It's been a long time in the making. This, but
you're popping my podcast cherry here, man. I'm actually stoked. Yeah, I've always wanted to join one. I know better, man. No better, Buchel.
Fucking damn right, hey. Damn fucking right, hey. Tell me this: is there feedback there in the chat, everyone, before we get cruising?
I'm good.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'll unmute this. And is the feedback now, like?
Is there feedback there in the chat?
It might be feedback from me because I'm using the phone. Like,
do you know what? All I'll do is I'll put a pair of headphones in, and then we'll.
it's me as well. Like, I think I need some headphones, and we'll be grand in a sec.
Do you ever wear headphones, lads?
Once or twice, boy.
I can't.
Listening to the Fugees on my Walkman in secondary school.
I have the YouTube as well, which has a delay. Like, what's the crack there?
Simon O'Toole said, "Is that your man from Blink 182?"
The one who believes in aliens. Is that who he's accusing me of?
Tom DeLong.
Tom the Wrong.
Tom DeRongan.
Tom the Wrong. But I'll take that. I've never had that one before. I've had fat Leonardo DiCaprio before. I took that as well.
I'll have that.
I'll have it.
Or nowadays it's just Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, because he's just fat. He's a lot fat.
It's all that steak he's been eating, and he's telling everyone else we can't eat. Himself and fucking Billy Boy Gates, man. They reckon that we'll all be eating fucking lab-grown meat, which, you know, that's something a couple of years ago I'd be like, that sounds brilliant, man. You don't have to kill animals for food anymore. But I'm like, it's those lads making it. Don't know about that, mate.
Yeah,
like just made a
Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer. Oh my god, yeah.
1 second now, fellas. Right, talk away there.
How you know?
Oh yeah, feedback. No,
I can't hear that, man. Can't hear it.
No.
Fuck's sake, yeah.
I'm gonna left out now. I'm gonna see where my headphones are.
I might have to. Oh, here we go.
I'm gonna buck the trend and not get headphones.
I'm gonna join you in that one, man. I'm gonna join you.
It's weird because I'm listening to it both in the microphone and on the computer. Sorry about this, viewers' technical difficulties, but we'll get through it. Once, it's also my own tech cherry is being squozed tenderly.
A lot of cherries being popped here, man. It's like a secondary school disco.
Yeah. Hold on. Talk away. Give me the old 1, 2.
It's working now, is it? 1, 2.
Testicles.
Go on.
Unique New York.
Somehow, I'll go into preferences here. 1 second. System preferences. Yeah, it's on the fly and it's ad hoc and it's Maloney's fucking digest tape. Okay, output.
Is it working now?
The Yeti. Where's the Yeti?
This podcast is just going to be built up of you figuring out how to put a podcast on.
Okay, job done. Come here, how's the gain on that, man? Do you like the gain? It's fucking nice and low. It's a job.
You're talking musical terms to me, boy. You may as well be talking.
Right, now it's a beautiful touch. Okay, now we're ready to go. So anyone who's joining on the podcast, we'll just cut all that out. And
well, thanks for hanging on.
Maloney's pure professional, man. He's like Russell Brand on a Tuesday week. To be quite honest with you, I don't even know which is the optimal. I think I've actually been doing this the wrong way all along, haven't I? I was like, yeah, that's way better. For the longest of times, I've actually been doing these live streams with the fucking mic facing the other way. That was a bit foolish. I was like, every time I look.
How many have you done so far?
About fucking 50.
They're probably, James, your man, I can't even hear him.
We got Shawneen in the house. Jeez, man, you see, what confused me is the gain is on the other side. I was like, well, surely you want to have, but then you got mute on this side. So it's like, so this is how I was doing it, right? And this is how it. Money down the fucking drain, man.
It's definitely like a secondary school disco now, man. Jesus Christ.
Just all the lads in the corner, yeah?
Yeah.
Just standing there.
Tell me this. How did you get into the StreamYard? Where'd you find that?
It's fucking great, man. So look at we're doing it now. I'm talking to the chat. I'm talking to the boys. And I've just figured out on the fly that the mic is sounding fucking Chopper Harley job.
That sounds good now.
Right, man. It's good. Caress the shaft, said Sean. Gunch van Leyden's in the mix. I like the headphones, Martin. Pink is your colour, lad, says Gunch van Leyden. And Gunch is after you.
Gunch.
How's that? Is that a bit? That's a bit more less gainy. Hold on. Right, 1 2 1 2. Uniflu. If you take a fistful of them with half a bottle of red wine, you'll have class dreams, man.
Good luck.
Never mind your weed, boys. Uniflu is where it's at.
That haze. That Uniflu.
or as 50 Cent used to say, give me Dro, purple haze, give me chocolate. I get high all the time. Smoke that good shit.
So who do we have in here with us? Because I can only see yourself. So can you give me an introduction? I'm talking to you, Martin.
Oh, sorry. Oh, you were talking about Jimmy Baz.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, who's Jimmy when he's at home?
Or the fucking Hardy Burke is in the house. He's doing God's work on Instagram. That lad. Fair dues. Follow the Hardy Burke there if you're on the old gram, man. Oh, right. Okay, let's start that. So let's say we're doing the podcast from now. Yeah, I'll get the old audio from this job and then crank it up. So here comes the podcast. We're only 20 minutes in, man, but hey, that's how we do shit around here.
Yeah.
So, welcome to the Hardy Books podcast with me, Mark Maloney. I'm your host, and you know me. I'm a Adonis of a man. Currently rocking a ginger beard like fucking, I don't know, fucking Jeff Bridges in that Western. On the podcast with me today, I have Al Harris, the man, the legend, the Midnight Wraith himself. He just be driving a fucking McLaren around Dublin. And I tell you one thing, not many boys to be doing that. And accompanying us on the podcast is Jimmy Baz. Welcome to the show, lads.
That's the story.
How we know?
And also, we're doing a live stream on YouTube at Maloney's Digest. Like, share, and subscribe, as they say in the States.
Or don't, whatever you want to do. Just be sound.
Just be yourself, man.
Good advertising.
There was a joke, actually, lads, before I roll. It reminded me of something. It was we were doing a Hardy Books show, and I think it was a Hardy Books show, and myself and Owen were talking about being with large ladies of the night, and it was like, yeah, I love being with large women. You can really be yourself, and that's the side to me I don't want many people to see. True Grit was the name of the Jeff Bridges movie. Fair play to Gunch Van Leyden there for chiming in. And if anyone in the chat has any car questions, any chat about Top Gear, whether you want to slag off the boys, whether you like the boys, what do you think of Matt LeBlanc? Fucking Joey from Friends is now driving a BBC Top Gear. Mad, but it's happening. And we'll be talking about computer games and just general fucking crack. So, okay, let me throw this to you, lads. Jamiroquai, JK, hit me. What are your opinions on him? He's into the motors.
Absolutely no opinions on him.
I actually love Jamiroquai, but what happened with Jamiroquai? He was making 70s music in the 90s when it just. But I got it, even though I was kind of too young to get it and too old. I don't know. I don't get it, but. I felt the vibe, the funky beat bass lines and stuff, and the kind of Nile Rodgers chicken, you know what I mean? It was pretty.
I remember liking one track by him, but I didn't like him because he was dressed, dancing around in the video with a hat on. He just looked like a twat, and I didn't like him. I was young, but I liked the song. Like,
Virtual Insanity, was it, where he's wearing a Berghaus fleece? Which actually I
just remember he was in a flashy room. There was loads of lights. He was dressed like a twat. I don't know what the song was. I just know the song was good.
That's Virtual Insanity. When it's a wonder man can eat at all. When things are big, that should be small. That one. And he's just gliding around. I have to say, that was the very first album I ever got was Traveling Without Moving by Jamiroquai. And I have to say, I was actually re-listening to a fair bit of him lately. And I look back to my 13-year-old self and went, yeah, the good fucking taste in music. I think what put me off with JK was he's quite arrogant, and but like, I mean, at the end of the day, he's making bank, and I guess to achieve that level of success, you probably have to have a bit of a superiority complex about you.
Speaking of arrogance and Jamiroquai, I actually have an amazing story about how arrogant, like a first-hand with account of how arrogant he is, right? Like, not a story you'd read in a tabloid. Like, so obviously, if you don't know, he's into cars massively. Like, I think
Is
he
he?
had, yeah, like, but I'm talking to the boys listening. Like, if you don't know Jamiroquai because you're 18 and you're like, these classical cunts that these are talking about.
And you're not the editor of the Daily Mail.
Yeah. So obviously, if a celebrity kind of in the UK or Ireland is into cars, if you're into cars as well, chances are you'll actually cross paths with them at an event or somewhere. You know what I mean? And Jamiroquai is a person who has a lot of stories in the car world. But one of my buddies, one of my friends of a friend, his job is basically, if a celebrity drives his car into London or drives his car here and there or drives his car to the airport, he has to basically go and get his car and pick it up and bring it back to his house. He does it for a lot of people, and Jamiroquai is one of them. So Jamiroquai was in town one night in London, and he broke his leg or something. Don't quote me on that. It could be something. He injured himself, but he couldn't drive home. So my buddy's buddy went in, collected his car, brought it back to his house, and then Jamiroquai was like, "In the morning, will you bring my car back? We'll swap over and do the deal, whatever." So my friend's friend rang my friend. I know that sounds confusing, but he goes, "You want to come to Jamiroquai's house and drop his Ferrari back?" And he was like, "Absolutely, I'm going to go to Jamiroquai's house. It's going to be sick." So my mate was all psyched up to go and see Jamiroquai and to go in a car, obviously, and to go in a Ferrari. So they drive and they have a bit of crack on the way, and then they pull up to this big manor house that you can like drive around the back of, you know. So they drive in, and as they drive in, they park the car, close the doors. All my mate said he could hear was rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat. And he looked to his mate and went, "Is he getting a bit of work done or something in the back?" Because it just sounded like, like a Kango hammer going at it. And so they kept walking around the back, and he said there was JK with his foot up like that in a cast with an M16 and like about 6 or 7 girls in bikinis, and he was just shooting into a forest, emptying clips, just going and he just looked at the lads, and they thought, "Oh, we're here with the lad and the girl and Jamiroquai," and he was like, "All right, lads, see you."
Was this in England, was it?
This is in his guy. I think he lives in like Swindon or somewhere, like, or Surrey.
Yeah, no, you know what? I'll tell you something about him. My brother-in-law comes from like Wiltshire, which is in the Cotswolds, nice part of the world. Jeremy Clarkson country. And apparently back in the 90s, before Jamiroquai made it, my brother-in-law and himself used to buy weed of the same dealer. So they'd be around the same house, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I know Jamiroquai from before, yeah." And I went, "Wow, what was he like?" He was a fucking asshole.
So he's just an asshole, rich now.
And I was like, "Oh, that's a disappointment." But yeah, so I mean, he's probably so loaded that he's got some sort of special. He's paid to have the license to own a, automatic rifle in England. I mean, like, if you're that rich, you can do whatever the fuck you want, really.
It sounds
I went up this course. Go on there, Jimmy. Jump in.
Sounds like my child self was right. He is a bit of a fucking twat.
Yeah.
But in fairness, though, the music is solid, and
it's fucking catchy enough now, yeah.
Yeah. There's a really good bass line from "Traveling Without Moving," the song on the same title on the album, and the bass line, man, it's like something Super Hands would have come up with.
I think my favorite song is one of my favorite driving songs in general, not just Jamiroquai, is "Cosmic Girl," because the video is like,
oh man, yeah, that's what got me into it.
It's like they were in the like pitching it, and they were like, every pitch that they came to, Jamiroquai was like, no, I want my cars in it, my cars, I want my mates, my cars, and he was like, "Fuck it, let's just go to the mountains in my cars."
Was it It was a purple Lamborghini Diablo and a black 348 Ferrari, was it?
F40 Ferrari.
Was it an F40? I've seen it for years.
Apparently, to film the shots where he's singing into the camera, apparently they took the windscreen out of the Lamborghini. To do
yeah, because it was blowing his class hair everywhere.
Yeah.
I actually did a bit of a. Apparently, his mother was a famous singer.
Miss Boy.
Yes. So she was well known. So yeah, is it? Oh, it's Yeah,
Tina
it's
Turner, is it?
me, man. He's simply the best. Yes, so he's got a Lamborghini Diablo. I remember the purple Diablo, but I didn't know he had an F40 in it, man.
Yeah, he had an F14, and he had I think you're right. He had a 348 as well.
Yeah, because that's the one I remember. Yeah, it is a 348. Yeah, I remember as a kid. I think it was like Christmas '94. I got a red 348 TS, which I still have at home in my mum's loft. And yeah, so it's still in the Borrego box. And I also got, I think for my birthday, I got a Lamborghini Countach. It was Countach.
It was Contish.
Oh, but you're in a really fortunate position that most men can only dream of. You get to your backstory is really cool because you at the moment your company, let's say, your company has a McLaren P1 and the F12 as well.
Not a P1. It's
P1,
a
no.
650S, and everyone gets confused with the P1 because they actually have the same front.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
they're very, very similar. Like, you know, so from the front, they're like, "Oh, here's a P1," and then when it drives past, you're like, "Ah, it's only a 650S." Do you know what I mean? But it's a serious McLaren. It's one of the first newer shape McLarens that came out. There was the MP4-12, and Clarkson makes a big deal. He's like MP4-12 9er 1010 because that's such a shit name for a car. But they copped on, changed the front, and called it the 650S and gave it more power. That's pretty much
right. Well, since we were talking yesterday on the phone about the F1 and the F1 GTR, which was class. Especially the orange one. I always remember I'd poster that up on the wall. It was in like a quarry. I was like, yeah, it was like, one day I'll drive one of them bastards. In fucking still time in a quarry in Harrington's in Kilkelly. But yeah. So have McLaren made any other cars other than the F1 and the P1 and the other one you're saying? I mean, because
the 720S or the 600 LT. It's called the 600 Longtail because it's like extended a little bit. And the Senna, of course, which is like the ugliest car ever, but it's only ugly because they designed it in a wind tunnel. So it literally went off what the air wants, not what your eyes want. Do you know what I mean? So
oh wow, I actually think that looks pretty cool.
Well, look at the back of it. The back of it sucks. I hate the back where the wing starts and comes around. It's just I just think it looks horrible. It looks like, and the where the exhaust and all are look like a shark opening its gills. It's cool though. Its performance is unbelievable. Like,
wow. Yeah, that's pretty cool actually. I didn't see that one before. Yeah, because for me, for a couple of years, I kind of dipped out of the whole car culture, and I missed maybe about 6 or 7 years of like it was sports cars and supercars, and I missed the gap where they became. It was after the Veyron came out, and then cars were going for crazy. I mean, the McLaren F1 was always for like $1 million back in the day, back in the 90s, and as we were saying, Rowan Atkinson bought one and wrote it off.
Yeah, like I said to you yesterday, man. When someone says McLaren F1, I think of Mr. Bean crashing one. I don't think of amazing performance, race pedigree, it's unbelievable R&D and engineering. I just think of Mr. Bean crashed one.
He's damaged the brand.
Yeah, he ruined himself. he ruined the car, I should say.
Yeah. Was he badly injured? What was the crack, or did he just
I never looked that much into it. I just that's a car guy. When you say McLaren F1, you just think Rowan Atkinson. Like I said to you yesterday, when you think of David Schwimmer, you just think of Ross and Friends.
And he's been in loads of films, man.
I know.
We have Outlaw Barber here. You can find him on YouTube. He's getting into the video log game. He says, growing up in Oklahoma, a lot of kids in my school had old school American muscle cars, lots of Chevelles, old Malibus. It was awesome. And then we have Sean from Chicago says, Clarkson bummed a 1967 Spider.
Bummed one.
He bummed one, man. But with muscle cars, like if you remember, was it Gran Turismo 2 when they introduced the American Muscle Car League? Yeah.
There was a Ford GT
Red
GT350 Mustang that I used all the time in it. Sick car.
Yeah, the cool thing is about America, because they're kind of like heirlooms that have been handed down through generations. I mean, you can pick up a Camaro or like a Stingray relatively cheap, or you'll find them just in someone's shed and in some sort of backwater town, and it's been forgotten about, and it's like, oh yeah. I actually in Stockholm, my mate Alan was going to get his van fixed in the garage, and like it was in a pretty swanky part of town, and there's just like a Ferrari Testarossa just sitting down there, and I was like, "Whoa, is this your Testarossa?" And he was like, "No, it belongs to a woman whose husband recently died, and he had a whole collection of sports cars and motorbikes, and she doesn't know what to do with them." So I was like, I have a few ideas.
Was her husband Don Johnson by any chance? He loved it.
He fucking was, man. Nash Bridges.
Nash fucking Bridges, man. Yeah, I love a Testarossa. Believe it or not, Testarossas aren't that much money, man.
Really?
Oh man, you probably, if you shopped around, you probably get a Testarossa for 100 grand. In supercar world, that's not expensive. You know what I mean? And for such an iconic shaped car, they are unreal. Like I love the Testarossa.
Yeah, they were in the 90s. Like as a 90s kid growing up, you used to always get like the pullback cars. Like they were always there. Like lads always had the Testarossa pullback. So it always reminds me of. But I remember, like I had on my old computer, my screensaver was the F40 race, the LM edition. That was always a dream car. And then I played it in Gran Turismo. I was like, it's not that good compared to the Skyline.
Or the Escudo Pikes Peak version.
Oh yeah. What else was the so like for anyone who's starting off, right? Let's say you're a bit of a buffy when it comes to cars and all motors. If you're thinking about getting a sports car, an entry level, what's the procedure? Do you buy a car, you flip it, you buy another one, and then you work your way up?
Are you talking about like starting off with a budget or starting off with nothing and kind of like?
Let's look at both. Let's look at both hypotheses.
If I was if I could give myself give myself at 18 advice, I would tell myself to buy anything that is a first car, like a Toyota Corolla or a Micra. Don't think of cool cars like Glanzas and GT Starlets and all that stuff.
Holland would say a Toyota Hiace.
Hiace or Hiace, man. Those things are sick as well. They've got some cult following now, Hiaces, man. But yeah, what I was saying is, I would definitely save 500 to $1,000. Buy like a Micra. Find someone like not a scrapper. Find what's wrong with it. Fix it. Sell it. Put it on done deal. 1,500 quid. Take 13 for it. Then buy another thing for 13. Fix it up. Put that up for $2,000. Take 70, and then just keep going until you get to 10 grand, and then think about what cool car am I going to buy now. Where I was just like, I want a cool car. I want a cool car, and I'll get the coolest cheap car I could find, and that'll do me. Where I should have kept excelling. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, if you are starting off with a budget, the other side of the question, the first sports car, you're looking for a car that you want to drive fast but be practical and reliable, like something that's going to start every morning, get you to work. But also, if you took it to Mondello or Silverstone for a track day, you'd have a bit of crack. Buy an MX-5, a Mazda MX-5. You will not regret buying a Mazda MX-5 ever, because they'll never depreciate in value, and they're the best crack you'll ever have, and they'll never let you down ever. So that's my.
Funny enough, when you're starting in Gran Turismo, it was the MX-5 was the first decent car you get started with. Malice, please, mate, come on. He's been walked, he's been fed, but like he just sees I'm at something and has to be given. Come up here to me. Come here. But yeah, fair enough. The FTO as well. That was a nice little touch. Front wheel drive.
They were a car that you'd flick through max power as a kid and go, "Oh, I'd love an FTO," but they just did not age well, man. Like you never see
90s looking.
When's the last time you've seen an FTO? I can't even remember the last time I've seen one.
I tell you, a car that would probably look quite depressing these days is the Mitsubishi Eclipse.
Yeah, God. Yeah, they're like a big FTO, aren't they?
Yeah. And then you've also got the Honda Prelude. They're pretty nice if you get a decent one. The Preludes.
Prelude, they aged quite well, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of cars got to a point like Nissan 300 ZXs and let's say I don't know Mitsubishi GTOs, all of them. They got to a point where like you couldn't give one of them away because
Really?
wanted one. Yeah, like you could. I remember flicking through Dundale 10 years ago, and Nissan 300 ZX. They were just sat there in a field, and nobody wanted one.
Yeah, actually, a friend of mine from Swinford, Johnny Holleran, he had a non-aspirated red Supra, and he also had the 350Z, the as you say the Nissan. But he said like the thing it had, he boosted it to like 700 horsepower. He said it was too expensive. He said if you went like halfway to Castle Bar, it was a quarter of a tank gone.
Fucking get you there in 20 minutes and back.
But yeah, it's a fucking wood. But the other thing is as well that I suppose, especially young lads have as an obstacle is the fact that they can't afford insurance.
That's the other thing. But there's ways. The thing is, they're encouraging people to buy new cars. Where if you go out and buy a 2000 or 98 Civic Type R and then ring up, have we lost someone? Or the screen?
No, I was just seeing if I can move lads around on the screen.
Right. What was I saying? I can't. Oh yeah. So if you were to go out and you're 18, you go out and buy a 98 Civic Type R. The insurance company won't even answer the phone to you. But if you went out and financed an equally the same horsepower Civic diesel, that would probably give a Civic Type R from 98 its go. They jump through hoops to get you insured because you're buying a new car. So it's kind of it's a weird one, that, you know what I mean? They are encouraging new cars and encouraging taking old cars off the road. So that's why they don't want to insure anything.
See, the funny thing is with Sweden is that there is they have a system where they insure the car, not the driver. So the evaluation on the car. Look, Ireland is probably one of the worst places to own a car. But first of all, you have the VRT. So if you want to have any, like the spec in car that you can purchase in Ireland is lower spec to start off with, and then on top of that, then most of the best specs either go to Northern Ireland or England, and so anybody who tries to get cheaper cars in England with a better spec, then they're landed with a really unreasonable VRT on top of it. Then. So yeah, the only reason they brought around VRT was just to stop lads from going up the north buying cheaper cars.
It's VRT is an illegal thing.
Yeah.
Like they get fined by the EU for it every year, and because the amount they get paid in VRT outweighs the fine that they get from the EU, they keep it going. So they're like, that's illegal, it's grand, we got loads left over. Do you know what I mean? Just keep paying it. Yeah. So it's the joy of motoring never really existed in Ireland, man. I remember like coming home. I come home from the UK all the time, and like if I had, like go to my uncle's or go to a wedding or go somewhere where the family, and they're like, "Jeez, what size engines in that at?" And I'm like, "Really?" And they're like, "Jesus Christ, would it take on me 1.3?" Do you know what I mean? And they're like, they can't fathom how big a 3-liter engine is. When over in the UK, a 3-liter engine is just like it's just an engine. They don't see it like that. Do you know what I mean? That's just what it is. It's crazy.
Yeah. The funny thing is, if you look at you look here in Sweden, like they love American culture, and there's a lot of really good kind of car meetings here, and it's funny because like in Ireland you'll see there's a lot of Hondas, Nissans, BMWs, Audis, Volkswagens, and Toyotas. That's primarily what you will see, but over here you'll see lads who have just souped up Volvos or Saabs. So
the thing is, Volvos I go to an event called Gatebill in Norway every year, and the Volvo culture in Norway and Sweden is off the show. I remember we've seen this beat up old. I don't know Volvo models that much, but like the typical Volvo. Like when you think of a Volvo, you think of the boxy shape.
Yeah, estate
from the 90s. So
they're fast, man. Like some of them are like 3-liter turbos.
A 3-liter turbo, man. This guy popped the bonnet of this beater with like wheel trims, and it looked like someone's ma just showed up to it, and it was 1,000 horsepower. This
1,000 horsepower.
1,000 horsepower, man. I was like,
Jesus,
a big massive honker of a Scania turbo. It actually was a Scania turbo on it,
like from a truck.
Yeah, on a diesel Volvo, and yeah, man, they
So
choose
so it was a turbo diesel, and it was
from a
fucking hell,
yeah.
3 liter. That's mental. It's Sean Pellegrino here says my show SHO has a 3.5 liter V6. What's a show?
It's a
SHO.
show is a Ford. Now you probably got mad at me because I've recently only learned about these, but it's a Ford Taurus. It's basically like the way there's
Like a
and
Mondeo of America.
and this is a Ford Taurus show. It's a Taurus. I think it's a Taurus. I know Conan O'Brien has one. That's how I know about them. Conan O'Brien walks around in an old Ford show.
Have a little look at that now and see what. Oh right, yeah. They're kind of like an American equivalent of a Mondeo, but some of these say like plus 400 horsepower. I tell you what's a nice car, which I haven't really seen much of, is or like you don't hear much, but they look good. Is the Kia Stinger?
They just didn't sell, man. They just did not sell. I think they were very over ambitious to have a car like that. Well, I digged it. I thought it was cool that it was a car like that, rear wheel drive, fast drift machine. That
Brembo brakes as well.
Yeah, man. They marketed it like as the Korean M5, and it just didn't sell. I mean,
they got Audi engineers in and designers, didn't they?
That rings a bell. I remember seeing it on the Grand Tour, and I've seen one or two of them on the road over here, but I haven't seen enough to go, Jesus, they're sick. You know what I mean? I haven't been able to. I've never driven one, and it's rare I even see one at a car event, and I'm at a lot of them. So I'm just guessing they just did not take off.
Yeah, because they're a fine car. Anyone in the chat who's interested, check out the Kia Stinger. It's lovely. It's like a modern day fucking Subaru legacy job. And by the way, and we have Marky. Funny enough, I've just realized that you're actually the double of my mate Mark Mulholland here in the chat. We should actually get Mark in as well. Yeah. And he asks a question: ever drive an RX-7? So if any of you guys in the chat have any questions that you'd like to put to our resident car expert, please do throw in a few questions.
Loosely using the word expert there as well. I like that. Don't take them. Have I ever driven an RX-7? I have actually. I've driven an FC RX-7, which is like the 80s boxy one, which they stole all of the design features from the 944 and then just ended up making.
Oh, it was the older one. There was before the facelifted model.
The Japanese always take elements from European cars and then make a better version of it.
Yeah.
So they done that with the 944, and then I drove the FD RX-7, which is like Dominic Toretto's red one at the start of Fast and the Furious, if you remember that car. Great cars, unreliable as shit though. They're literally the most unreliable car ever, unless you keep on top of them and you know how to take the engine out, rebuild it, and put it back in.
Is this the newer model which had the rotary engine?
They all have rotary engines.
Oh, they all have rotary engines. Yeah.
So they have the RX-8 you were talking about.
The RX-8, yeah,
had a terrible engine. That was like,
because they were selling pretty cheap on the fault of the rotary. I mean, it's a strange. Like I still haven't figured out the concept of the rotary engine. Is it like the pistons are somehow intertwined or something? And that's kind of like how they managed to get as much horsepower out of them.
How do they get so much horsepower? Now, for anyone listening and anyone that ever watches this again, I am not a mechanic, so I'm going to give you the Al explanation of how Al thinks this works. But I'm pretty sure I'm pretty on the money. So they have, every normal engines have pistons, and they pull in fuel, compress it, and then create a explosion. And that's the compression that goes down. And there's like in a cylinder, each cylinder creates compression. How they work is they have less moving parts, and they have like a Dorito shaped moving part inside this like peanut shaped part of the engine, like the block, and it spins in such a way that it creates instead of the pistons like coming up and down like this, it spins in a way where the air gets dragged in one way, the fuel gets dragged in the other, and as it's spinning and it's exploding in different parts. Wow. if that it was that was possibly the worst explanation of how.
No, I get it though. So basically, when they say rotary, it's basically the piston rotates as it combusts and aspirates.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So it's like
so is it just one single piston?
Yeah, it's just one. They call it.
That's weird, man. Because for some reason I thought it was some sort of futuristic kind of thing where there's pistons going beside each other in every direction. But then I and somehow managed to kind of conflate that with a boxer engine as well. And a lot of did the Impreza have a boxer engine?
Porsche started off having boxer engines, and then like I said with the 944, the Japanese just took that design and went, let's make that better and turbocharge it and make it faster and sound cool. And that's what they did with Subaru.
Speaking of Porsches, Al, what did you think? I always find obviously you had like the 911, the Targa, the Carrera, and the kind of the whale tail and the round lights and the face of them. And then when in the 80s when they went with the 955 and the 944,
they had the 944, which is like pop up headlight. Yeah.
I quite like the pop up headlights, but it was a strange avenue for Porsche to go. Like in Scarface, where it's like, I'm gonna buy a Porsche, man, and then he's got one of them, and
and he's like throwing bags into the bank.
He was pushing it to the limit, but like I don't know. There's something about the 944 I prefer over. What was the other one? But that had the kind of inset lights.
They're like frog lights that like went like that, didn't they? They're not like pop up lights. They like.
Oh really? So, but yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And when they're up, they look like frog's eyes.
In comparison to the other models, I wasn't too gone on them.
Some of them are good. I can't remember the name of the model. I actually only educated myself on Porsches about 2 years ago, and I realized that the majority of Porsches are all 911s. So all of them are 911s, and then they have their own other code. So it's a 911 968. You know what I mean? So it's very
996 and all those.
Yeah, the 996 and all that stuff. But 944 and the 9 something. Yeah, I never liked the look of the other one, but I think the 944 is aged quite well. You could get a 944 for like $2,000 at one point. You can't get one. Yeah.
MR2s were something that were very easily purchased as well, and they're going up and.
MR2s are great cars. They're absolutely amazing, and now you can't get one. They're the same. You flick through Dundee back in the day, and you're like, it's MR2s. Now you're like, I love an MR2 because you know what would you do with an MR2 now to make it cool,
But what's the like if you were to pick up a car that has been razzed around by some sort of teenage bad boy, and it's you find a car, what's the process of restoring something? Would it be just not worth the money unless you really wanted it? If you were good yourself with tools and.
I mean, yeah. If you say for example, you found an MR2 and it has 15 owners to 150, 70,000 miles, and it's just been rallied by a load of owners. Unless it's rusty, unless it's literally rotten, you can fix anything on it. Like you could get your hands on anything that needs replacing and make a mint car out of it. You know what I mean? And that's what people have to do now, because the mint ones that were kept back in the day aren't for sale, and the ones that are only left are the scraps that you have to get.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like it's all about, I suppose, sourcing them. And like the fella who died in Sweden, his ex-wife just wanted to get rid of all the stuff because it was knocking around, and then I'm sure she probably took she probably brought someone in to do the evaluation and like, look, I'll give you a few quid if you get me a good price on these.
Yeah.
Wait. There's an awful lot of this fella. Come here, come up here. Like this lad here, he should be all right. Just he looking. Sometimes I think he just looks for attention. Like they say dogs are like their owners. And he's a handsome creature. But he's a fucking nutter, man. He's a nutter. Oh, you're a fucking header, man. You're a header.
So I think we've covered cars, man.
Let's get off the topic of that. We probably bore on the shite. Now we'll talk about computer games. We both have a burning passion for Days Gone. So if there's anyone out there who enjoy playing zombie games and stressful ones at that. A
I-
Days Gone, man, it's a proper knuckle biter. You'd be like
I-
this.
I couldn't wait.
Ooh!
I couldn't wait for that Days Gone to come out. And they kept pushing
Update.
the date or the release date of it. It was like supposed to be out 1 year, then it was 2 years down the line. And I was like, Jesus! I remember they seen the ad for it back in like 2015 or something, man. And I was like, this is
How long ago?
yeah, man. I'm telling you. And it was looked like the best game ever. You know, like it looked like Resident Evil and Sons of Anarchy had a love child, and I was like, damn, that's just gonna be unreal. And it was at points, and I know you'll agree with me, it can get really repetitive.
Yeah, go and clear the Marauder camp. Go and clear the ambush camp. Go and clear the nest. And it's like fucking go and do a job. Who's that old fucking slave driver who's just making people work in a camp all the time? She's
that weathered bitch.
Yeah, Ma Taylor or something like this.
Not even an important enough character, because you know when games give important characters the spotlight, their mouths move and they have like facial expressions where she's just like when she's talking, her mouth's closed.
She was shite, man. She was not a shite. But I couldn't recommend that game any more than especially the challenge mode. And if you play the challenge mode, which is insane, you get nice little touches in the main game as well. I pissed away a complete day of it yesterday. We were supposed to do this podcast yesterday, but yeah, I was like, started the day off. Well, actually, the night before, I didn't go to bed until like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't sleep then until about 4 because every time I closed my eyes, I could just see hordes of lads going running at me. And the next day, I was like, right, I've got to really get my shit together today. And I was like, look, what I'll do is I'll just play an hour. I'll give myself an hour. And it was like 3 o'clock, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Don't ever give yourself an hour. Don't ever say, I do it the same. I still do it with GTA Online. I'm like, I have an hour. Well, it takes an hour to load the fucker up, man. Like, you know what I mean? You're only getting into it after an hour, like, you know what I mean?
Have you got a PS5 yet? As Eddie Greenheart pointed out here.
Can't even get I wanted one at Christmas, and then the kind of novelty wore off, and I just carried on playing my PS4, and then I couldn't get one at Christmas, so I was like, whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Interesting question here about back to cars. Robert Coney's Murray says, what do you think of the Aspergic Reeky car culture in Ireland, lads?
The which? What?
The Aspergic Reeky car culture in Ireland.
Can you ask him to explain what that means?
Reek? To elaborate. I don't know if it's to do with just. I mean, because I don't know. I mean, I touched on it in the Hardy book when I called when I called it, you know, the raves of horsepower and the flotilla of lads. I suppose it's probably a cultural thing. It's a buzz for them, and I suppose it's also it's a sense of community. You know, not Aspergic. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. I was like, that's a bit harsh. Agri-spec. Sorry.
Agri-spec. Does he mean like
Aspergic? Does he spell Aspergic wrong? Sorry about that.
Does he mean like diesel guys rocking diesels going through laps of the town go?
Oh, you mean like yes, woo, like Boras and Passats.
Oh yeah, and just going whoop, and you're like, I remember
Carina Ease.
I remember covered laps of the town, right? And I was on a stag do in Kilkenny, and I was only 17. It was like my uncle's stag do. It was nothing, you know, like for stag do. But I remember being locked and walking into a bar, coming out for some air, and then like the same Glanza GT Starlet, the red one, would drive past. Locked, and I come back out and I'd be locked again, and the same car drive past. And then like 3.5 hours later, I'd be locked, come back out, and I'd be like, "There's no way that's the same car. There's no way that's the same. I'm that locked. I need to go home."
It's the 56th lap of the town.
Lap of the town. I'm telling you, that is Irish car. No, they do not do that in the UK here. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, you know, it's funny. Like, there's two things. I'm like. First of all, I'll address what you said about the wedding. Anytime we'd be filming Hardy books, you'd have lads come past in Boras or A4s. You know, when they fucking put the camber right out on the back wheels.
Oh, yeah.
And the suspension is just lowered be to a terminal level where whoever buys that car afterwards, just no point. The chassis is grounded off the road, but like they deliberately just drive by, put the clutch in, and then as they're going past us, we're filming, swoo, you know. And but you say you don't see that in England, but you would see a lot of lads in. Actually, yeah, you wouldn't have those kind of TDI agri specs, as Robbie said, but what you would have is Saxos, 105 Peugeots, you know, like Escorts. You get a couple of nice Escort, or not Escort, sorry, Focus over there. Like the Ford like you could pick up, like, was it the S200 Mondeo, which was a nice touch back in 22 years ago. That was like the like there was the Sierra RS or the Sierra S, was it ST100
RS Sierra Sapphire RS Cosworth, which was
the Cosworth Sierra
of the 90s. You know, it was like the car. It was like before Evos and all start coming into Ireland. You know, like before the Jap import craze started in the late 90s, early 2000s. The cars that you'd see floating around were like Renault 5 GT turbos, Ford Escort XR3Is, RS Cosworths, Vauxhall Cavaliers. Am I right? Cavaliers?
Cavaliers,
and Omegas. And all of those cars, they were like, whoa. I remember like cruising with my dad, and my dad would be like, look at that, that's a V6 Omega. And it was like, you know, the equivalent of a son in America going, with their dad going, look at that, son, it's a V8. You know what I mean? It was like the Irish V8, you know?
The Opel Omegas, man.
Their time.
Yeah, and then they had the Ford Scorpio, which was a weird looking car, but it was proper luxury back in the day when they first came out.
Yeah.
Gear model.
GSIs, yeah, man. Robert, I just sorry lads, I just realized that there's a comment section here. First podcast, so I'm boring the shite out of everyone, but I am getting lubricated, so I am going to get a bit louder now. But yeah,
saying that, we've had a good solid 35 people watching live, and a couple of Skeletron's been here all along. A Gunch van Leyden. Gunch van Leyden said someone got a hammer in Swinford. There was an assault recently. Fuck me. What is it? My uncle's best mate was doing donuts around a roundabout in a Sierra Cosworth. The alloy snapped in half, and the car, fucking hell, man. And the car rolled over. There's a photo of him crying next to it. Probably your uncle just on the back going, "What'll do, pig? What'll do?"
Similar thing happened to my uncle. So my uncle got me into cars, right? My uncle, he was like, I don't know if, and I'm sure everyone does, like your mad uncle. Everyone has a mad uncle, like. So
I think my cousin's mad uncle was my dad.
Well, there you go. You're their mad cousin. So my uncle used to have like Civics, and he actually had the first fast car I ever experienced was a Nissan Pulsar GTI. Oh, yeah. And I remember he was like 18 and he wasn't insured on it or nothing. He was like, I bought this. Yeah, don't tell your nanny. You have to park it around the corner and all. And he was blowing around Dublin City Centre in this thing. And he was just always this person that took me out, show me the wild side of life. And that got me into cars. I'm like 7-8 years old here in dump valves and stuff.
Like my cousin Lexus. Just the lad who showed you all the fucking bad tricks that were class.
Oh my god, that's a black. I forgot about that part of the show. Lexus.
You're going for a job, Lexus. Play with the ball, Lexus. William. Sorry, it says new comments here. Willie Heenan. He says, "How was the Skyline in episode 1? That Skyline was fucking great crack, man. It was a 25th anniversary model, and I think it had about 380 horsepower. But I don't think it was a twin turbo. I think it was a turbo, but it was fast. I didn't like the gearbox in it. The gearbox was it was too tight. It was kind of like
short shifter job that fitted to her, was it? Because there's always a bit of throw in a Skyline. It's like driving a Beamer. They're like
it was a proper gearbox. It was. I tell you what, it was like dropping a chisel into a bucket full of bolts and nuts. Do you know what I mean? You'd be like, ugh.
So the old linkages must have been dodgy in her, man.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't a smooth experience. But, I remember Danny Cass, who played Eric Mortimer. He's Pete, who plays Franco's brother, and he goes, Martin, I found this car. And Martin, because I read the script and I know of a fella who has a Skyline. And so he sorted that out. But Martin, it's his baby. You got to look after it. Please don't not a fucking scratch on it. Martin, you understand my reputation. So myself and Pete went to pick it up from French Park, and we drove it back to Swinford. And I was parking up outside Mum's house. And I said to Pete, how much space do we have left there before we get to the curb? Oh, you got another foot, man. So when someone says another foot, to me, if I was telling someone it was another foot, I would say, you got another foot and then a bit of a margin. So I was like, grand a foot. I was like, oh, fuck. Cracked all the fairings on the front of it. And then, which was a good thing, because the next 3 weeks of filming, anyone who jumped into it, I was like, watch the seats. I don't want a mark on it. And then we had like a ball of cash to give to your man Paul when we got back. And I was like, look, mate, I'm really sorry about the car, but there was a bit of an accident. He was like, all right, that's fucking grand. It'll take me a couple of minutes to fix. He was a panel beater.
Oh, grand. Nice one. I love that Skyline. I thought that was great, man. And it was a great
rear wheel drive as well.
Great addition to the show. A real, like, cause the cool, like I said to you on the phone the other day, like, doesn't matter if you're 27 stone in a country town in Ireland, but if you have a Skyline, you have the hottest bird in that town, and that's it. That is it. It doesn't matter what you wear. It doesn't matter how often you shower. If you're cruising doing laps of the town and she's sat beside doing her makeup and it's like, whoops, and she can cruise past boys on stag dudes in Kilkenny and they're just like, it's that same car.
That's very true, man. You always get like obese lads where basically the back of their neck and shoulders is kind of joined to the base of their head. Do you know what I mean? They're like the Juggernaut from X-Men, but like they'll always do well with women. Like when they're not drinking, they're out fucking taking pills, and some of them have taken so many pills they dance the weight off.
I love how it was never fashion anywhere, but down the country in Ireland, popping your collar up.
Oh yeah,
fashion. Like rocking the old. They all just like rocking into, and that's what you see lads doing laps of the town in the twin cam with the collar pop, and they're like, "That's me bored, hey." Do you know what I mean?
Hey Casey, Cantona job. I'll answer a few questions here, and then we'll talk about Crusade as well, and what you're doing, and maybe what we're planning as well.
Sure. Sounds
we'll throw that into the plan.
So
we got here. Outlaw Barber says. Let me see. Fastest car I was in was a 69 Chevelle 454. It got like 8 miles to the gallon. Well, that's all right in the States because you can get a gallon for like $1.
Yeah.
Or I rented a Dodge Challenger or a Dodge. I wanted to get a Dodge Charger, but I had the family with me, so I couldn't really. I also wanted to get one when I was in LA back in 2011, and I went for a Passat CC Coupe 2-liter turbo, but I'd be racing lads on the way to Vegas. And actually, I went up against the green MX-5, so we were like racing each other on the motorway back from Las Vegas to LA. And I was like, but that thing, man, like you were going up against Dodge Chargers that were like 4 liters Hemis, and you were German engineering, man.
Yeah,
I think American cars it's a weird one because they use so much, like they've got a hell of a lot of torque and strength. But I think they have something in, like there's down the street, there's a really nice kind of souped up, what is it? Yeah, it's a Hemi 5-liter Dodge Charger from 2011. But it's starting to, after a while, American cars kind of look like toys. You know the way you go into a toy shop and you see toys for kids, but they're overly exaggerated. And after a while, they start kind of like the Mustangs from the 90s. You look at them now and you're like, ooh.
They look like parts of them clip off. That's what they look like. They look like they're made of plastic. Oh, don't get me wrong, I love American cars. Some of my favorite cars are American cars. One of my favorite cars right now is the Dodge Demon, and I love that car. It's amazing. It's just completely obnoxious. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like they some of them age kind of weirdly, don't they?
The Dodge D. Yeah, well, you see the fucking armor. Yeah, that's a beautiful car. See, I would have thought that was a Challenger, But is that basically?
It's based off a Challenger, but they've got a Hellcat, which is like I think 700 horsepower, and the Demon is like the Hellcat's big brother.
12,000 horsepower.
1,200 horsepower.
Oh, sorry, 1,200.
Sorry, 12,000 horsepower.
Not great at the maths.
$1 million.
Yeah, 12. It's like, that's mental. Like, I mean, you'd need a mortgage just for petrol. But like some of them are like I wanted to, when I was in the States, I wanted to get this Dodge Challenger to be driving around Hollywood feeling like a big shot for 2 weeks. But I settled for the CC, and I was happy enough with that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But the Dodge Charger that I rented them when I was driving around, and I didn't realize that it was actually a 6th gear in it. So I was like, when I really opened it up, I was like, "Fuck, mate, there's another gear." I was like, "It changes everything." I wasn't too impressed until I hit the 6th and split the diff.
Split the old diff open, hey.
Willie Heen says, "Who bought the Civic in the webisode from CSI Steve? Was that much crack? Any event with CSI Steve is good crack." I remember someone wrote in the comment section, "Your man with a Civic, such a dry bastard." But he's fucking great crack, man. Is Steve? He's good crack. Eddie Greenhouse says, "Friend owns a 350Z. We picked it up at Stansted and drove it all the way to Holyhead to catch the ferry home. Comfy car, great trip. The shriek of the woman in the bucket seat." I tell you something which is something I meant to say. So you have the Celica, the MR2, the 350. It seemed like these Japanese manufacturers had these kind of not flagship like the GTO, the Skyline, and the NSX, but they would have cars which they kind of scale back to try and turn into more of an affordable coupe, rather than embracing the MR2 when it became the MR2 Spider. It wasn't really like, and the Celica when they did the new Celicas, they were a bit of a letdown. They gone from like 4-wheel drive to front wheel drive, for example.
Yeah, well, the thing is with most car manufacturers have what's called a halo car. Okay, so Nissan, their halo car is the GTR. So the GTR is here, and that's the top tier, top of the food chain in Nissan. And then they drip down the technology and the look and the style guide of that car into all of their other cars. So then you have the 350Z has elements of the GTR, but not quite as much. And then it's so on, and then so on, and so on, all the way down to Mrs. Doyle's commuter wagon that goes to church. Do you know what I mean? All the way from the GTR all the way there. And every car does it. You mentioned their Toyota, their halo car right now is the Supra, and then it drips down the style guide all the way down to the Yaris and the Igo. Do you know what I mean? And that's generally how they do it. Like, you know.
So why did Nissan change the name from Skyline to GTR?
My opinion on that is that they wanted to hit a more expensive market. Because when I think of a GTR, I still think it as a tuner car, but when some people think of a GTR, they think of a supercar now. So I guess they wanted to break it away from the Nissan brand. Do you know what I mean? Where I don't even call it GTR Skyline. The last Skyline they made for me is the R34. You know, and then like Paul Walker's one in Too Fast, Too Furious. That's the 34. One of the best cars, looking and performing cars of all time. I love it.
Just double check. I always get the let me see. Yeah, so basically the GTR nowadays is the R35. The R34 was the one that had a kind of a more of a sloped inverted bonnet. So the R34, because for me the R33 is the one that I liked.
That's the one you had. You had a GTST 25th anniversary edition. That's what you had.
Yeah, but that was the real, because there was the GTR2 V-Spec, which was...
You had the GTST, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, because the GTR V-Spec was the one where even if you see that nowadays, you're still going to, like, you won't see many of them around, but if you do, it's like, ooh.
Yeah, man, even if you see a GTST now, you're like, ooh, go on, lad, driving your Skyline, fair play, like, you know what I mean? Where back in the day when Ireland was flooded with Jap imports. You're like, it's only a GTSD. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the Japanese import market, man, that was a real thing of the past. You don't really get it as much nowadays.
No, they just. I think Ireland just bought all of the Jap imports. I think the yen went up, the availability, the cars themselves were starting to appreciate in value in Japan, and then
Right, yeah.
a wave of like German cars being really affordable. Like all of a sudden, E46 M3s were affordable, then E92 M3s were affordable, and then so on, and then all of a sudden there's just the Jap Glanzas and Altezas and all turned into like M5s and M3s.
Didn't they have a rule? I don't know if it's true or not, but back in like the 90s, didn't they have a rule where like, or not a rule, but it was kind of like after 3 years, the Japanese they just stopped driving the cars and they sold them on or something.
There's a lot of. I've never been to Japan, and I have brought in cars from Japan, but I haven't. There's been a lot of those rumory kind of things floating around where it couldn't be true, because why would someone then have all of a sudden an 86 Corolla that they're just all of a sudden going to sell? Like, do you know what I mean? They didn't just put that in a garage for the last 25 years, 30 years. Do you know what I mean? They've obviously driven it because there's parts and there's wear on it. You know what I mean? So I don't think that's true. I think they treat cars a lot better than us. That's the crack, and that's why they're so mint when they come in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair. Yeah, fair enough. Because I do know, like, there's apparently, like, if you look at the cars here in Sweden, they seem to be in a lot better nick than at home. And I was like, would the rust be down to it being so close to the sea and salt? I don't know. But then when I saw, like, over here, they have salt on the roads for the ice. So there's a lot of rust damage happens here in Scandinavia because the salt's eating away underneath the cars as well. But they seem to be a lot more well kept. Like, if you buy an Audi from 10 years ago, you look at it and be like, that's a fucking nice brand new car.
Yeah.
They just have more amenities, better roads.
Scandinavia have amazing roads, especially Sweden and Norway. They're unreal. I've been getting asked questions here that I kind of want to turn to. You know, getting some petrol head questions here. So, what do I think of the Yaris GR? Any buzzing?
Do you know what, Al? I'll suggest something, right? It's a mad one. If you can keep the show running here, right, and I'll take this dog out for a piss, because so, like, if you have any questions, direct them to Al. He's gonna take over the chat.
Keep them car related, please, because then I can keep talking.
Right, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Sorry about this. It's just I thought it's a dynamic approach, and if you look at the way this lad's, because you're probably hearing in the background weep weep every few minutes, wondering what is that weird squeaky noise, man. So I don't think it's the fact he needs to go out, but I'll do it, and then we'll see what the story is. And if not, I put him in the fucking broom cupboard.
Sound out, boy.
Sound. I'll be back very soon.
I'll time you.
I wonder, can I put you in the? Well, I'll put you in the solo layout. Now, off you go. Pressure's in.
My very own podcast. Right, I'm gonna have to speed run some questions here. Here we go. Dave says American cars look great in America. Take that Ford Mustang. Looks great in the US. Anyone driving one looks like a peck. I kind of disagree with that. I think American cars look amazing in places that aren't America, because cars in America that you wouldn't look at, then all of a sudden when they're in Europe, you turn your head because, like, wow, look how big that is, or look how awesome that is, or rare, or whatever. Okay. What do you think of Irish spec AE86 twin cams? I actually love Irish spec AE86 twin cams. They're a pretty appreciative car in Ireland at the minute. A lot of people collect them, and they know them off by heart by their reg plate or even their chassis number and their original colour. So yeah, there's a massive cult following of the 86. It's like a religion in Ireland, and the actual Irish spec ones are the ones to have. What do you think of the Yaris GR? I haven't actually looked up or researched anything to do with the Yaris GR, but I have noticed a lot of it that I've kind of skimmed past online. A lot of people are sharing and talking good things about it. It's 4-wheel drive, right? Turbocharged. It's like a mini Focus RS, I guess. So it has to be good. And it's a Toyota, so it's going to be bomb-proof. Let me see. What's your opinion of tuning companies? Do you mean companies that tune cars, or in-house companies that are assigned by manufacturers like AMG to tune their cars? Can you please explain that, and I'll get back to you. Ford Escort, some car. I know. I learned how to drive one. My dad taught me how to drive one when I was 8 because I was getting bullied at school, and these kids hung out in a super value car park that were bullying me on Saturdays, and he was like, watch this, took me over and taught me how to drive in his Mark II Ford Escort, and the next day I was king of the school because they're like, that lad can drive, that Dublin lad. Right to the highway, just got to ride it all night long. You're dead right, man. You're fucking dead right. Have easy nights. I think that's something that Eddie can. I used to call him Eddie. That's something that Martin can answer. My Uncle Maurice had a Volkswagen Golf GTI. Great goer, good man. What's the jankiest ride you've seen in your days, Al? The jankiest ride. Let me think. Actually, I've seen so many, I can't even put my finger on one of them right now. A lot of them are janky that I've come across. Let me think about it, and I'll come back to that. Solo cars, tuned up, man. Solar cars. Explain. Only this. This is John Joe McGonigal. Only a super elite will have electric cars. The new feudalism. All right, bro. Any buzzing? Evo versus Scooby. That's a good question. That's the old school question. I actually would have said back in the day an Evo, but nowadays I actually would say Scoobs are better. I think they're more tunable. I think they're more readily available, and they're just a better car. What do I think of Irish spec modified E12 rollers? What the hell's an E12, man? E12, yeah. I didn't even know the chassis code for them. Don't they have a Jap import called the Run X, which comes with the 1.8 VVT Li engine that comes in the Celica? That's pretty fast. Remember, a buddy of mine had one of them back in the day. Yeah, a Toyota Run X, just goes there. Serious car. Do love a hot hatch. I'd go for an old Scoob over an old Evo, but a new Evo over a new Scooby. Jeez, dude, I have to disagree with you there. I thought the Evo 10 was quite disappointing, and I would flip my opinion. I would go for old Evos over old Scoobs, but new Scoobs over old Evos, for sure. Oh no, I'm having my own bit of disturbance here. I can't believe you just left me on the podcast. Any questions, lads? What? You can ask me a question. Niall Duggins, E11 roller are class as well. Niall Duggins, E11 roller. Oh yeah, the TTE model of that is pretty cool. I did like them. There's a lot of them cruising around Ireland. E11 roller. Best car I've ever driven. Memorable. I drove my old boss's SSC Ultimate Aero TT, and at the time it was the fastest car in the whole world. First car ever done 200 mile an hour in, so that was pretty memorable. What is the record? John McGonigal. What is the record for the most people that would fit in a Mini? Bet you don't know, Mr. Car. John McGonigal. How many people can fit in a Mini?
What's the first car?
21, lad. 21 they got in. What's the first car? What are you saying, Pricey? Wasn't the first car I've ever owned was a 1970 Volkswagen Beetle. Yeah, it was. Bought for 500 quid. Done it up, drove it to school. Thing kept breaking down, so I sold it and made like $2,000 on the thing. Horse with a profit. I can't believe Martin has left me on his own live stream. What's the story with the Monster Hat collection? So I used to work for Monster for like 8 years doing the Gymkhana grid events, and just over the years I just kind of accumulated bits and bobs over the years and just thought I'd thought I'd keep it. Sorry guys, I'm about 5 ciders deep here. Here's Martin back. I kind of held that going, so thanks for being so nice to your first time podcast there, lads. It's no Red Bull, that's true. She's not.
Sound job.
Jeez, that was hard work, man.
Was it?
Oh, Jesus. I'm back. Here's you.
Sorry about that. Hopefully he'll fucking chill now. But he did need a big piss. Yeah. But thanks very much. Sorry for putting that position. But how'd you get on?
It was grand. There was some questions answered. There was some questions asked.
Good job. Someone said TRD is in Toyota Racing Development.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, sorry for doing that to you. So it wasn't my intention. It was basically it's like look after the kids there quick. But were yourself and Tordav constantly playing Gran Turismo? He uses the soundtrack in loads of his stuff. Oh, does he now? Because I use it as well. He's probably watching my stuff going, oh yeah, I'll take his stuff, and then I've got a bigger audience, and I'll say it was me who came up with the idea. But no disrespect. No, we did actually play a shitload of it. You know, we used to go around to the Kennedy's house and be like, I've got the Tom Supra, I'll beat you. But it was fucking brilliant, man. It was actually I think it was my neighbor Brian Paul Lavin across the street who said he was getting it. And I heard this crack about Gran Turismo. I was like, what's Gran Turismo? I think I was playing some really crap game called Test Drive Off-Road, and you just had like 4 cars in the whole thing, and then you got like 4 bonus cars, which was Monster Truck, and it was like a Hummer Defender 90, a Jeep Wrangler, and what was the other one? A Chevy Z71, and like, yeah, it was a shite game, and then fucking Porsche Simulator on.
Porsche Simulator. Remember that was a demo.
Demo, yeah. And that's where it stayed.
Yeah. That's where it stayed. Yeah, it was shite.
Yeah, it was shite. But so when Gran Turismo came along, it was just that was it. It was that Command and Conquer and Resident Evil 2. Played a bit of MDK. I don't know if you ever played that game.
MDK, man. Do you know what? I've never spoke about that game to anyone, apart my uncle who I used to play it with. That was a mad game. Wasn't it? That was a bleeding mad game.
It was mad. Because anytime I talk about video games, for some reason, like I'm talking about class video games, for some reason it's like MDK, and I'm like, why do you keep? It's like the automatic. Like I've played hundreds of games in time, but for some reason MDK. Let's talk about MDK. Maybe I can break the fucking.
Let's talk about MDK. I remember playing MDK so long ago that I'm having to refresh my memory now, looking at Google images of it.
He had this weird like pointy head, didn't he?
Like he had. And then I remember you were running through these levels and it was like third person, right?
Yeah, it was endless though. It went on for ages, man. I didn't complete it in the end, but
running and there was things coming towards you in the whole game. And then throughout the game you'd see these unlockables, these like things that you'd activate parts of your suit and you'd click it and then there'd be like you'd be able to fly all of a sudden. There was like bits. Do you remember that?
Decoy.
Yeah.
Never got the hang of that.
Decoy, where was the other one, the other version of you?
Yeah.
Clever game for its time, really. When you
yeah. Do you know what's funny? If you look at the Resident Evil story of how they were making another version of Resident Evil 4, I think it was, but it was in like a haunted house and shit was like moving around. It was really spooky. And then they were just like, nah, this is, you got Raccoon City and zombies and laboratories.
Has to be there, bro.
Yeah, but I think they changed that to Devil May Cry, and then a couple of years ago brought out Resident Evil 4, which, in my opinion, was one of the best games of all time. Like, because I started getting bored of Grand Theft Auto. You know what I mean? It was just the mission started getting a bit samey. It was like I could be doing this in real life, man. Pick up my car, don't get a scratch on it. I'm like, this is boring. I just want to run around getting 5 stars and seeing how long I can last.
Resident Evil in general revolutionized gaming. It created the survival horror genre, in my opinion. For the PlayStation, anyway. I know there was stuff before that was like, sides across kind of survival horror. But Resident Evil 4, sorry, I'm like 5 ciders deep now. Resident Evil 4 revolutionized, that view where you're like
over the
shoulder view. And it was like the first game to ever lock that in. That game was hit my mate so hard that my mate went out and found that jacket that Leon wears in that.
Yeah.
And wore it for like a few years. Like, and with the fingerless gloves and all, I was like, you're sad and I love you. Do you know what I mean?
I tell you what jacket I wouldn't mind is, what are you buying?
Hello, stranger.
stranger. Now that's a weapon. Yeah, the merchant man. Like, great man for selling your guns, but no bullets. Do you know what I mean?
Don't get about him is that he'd be everywhere that you couldn't get to, and you all of a sudden have like, how did you get here?
Exactly. Yeah. Why didn't you tell me?
There, did he not try and kill you as well? Like, where were you for that? All these guns in your jacket.
if they played that again, if they made a remake of that, it'd be the first one. I mean, when I lived in New York the first time, I completed the entire game and then completed all the mercenaries mode. So people were like, what are you doing in New York? You're going to like the Guggenheim Museum. I was like, nah, I'm just living in a flat in Brooklyn playing Resident Evil and then partying in Manhattan at night. Hey, fucking great memories, man. The days of youth where you could just spend the entire day guilt-free.
Yeah.
It's like David Gilmour sings in Pink Floyd's Time. Tired of lying in the sunshine, staying at home to watch the rain. Next thing, 10 years ago. Fucking butcher that one. 10 years got behind you. No one told you when to run. You missed the starting gun. But still, yesterday I enjoyed a full day playing Days Gone. And I was telling myself that as well, going, you know what, you need a day of chilling. But at the end of it, my head was so fucking wrecked. I was like, I didn't get the gold level on the challenge. And I was watching like videos of how lads were doing it. Yeah, and I was like, if I could apply this to shit like getting, fucking work done. It's like there must be some way of making like an app that knows what tasks you've got to do, and it's like XP 25, XP, and then you get rewarded somehow. Like if jobs work like that,
I did an app, man. I think if that doesn't exist, for people who are addicted to video games, to adapt daily tasks into video games and get in video game style and get rewards for it. Could you imagine if you
have folded your laundry successfully? Ching, 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 ching. XP points. Like credits just
turns on.
I get so much shit done. Do you know what I mean? I guess video games, everything is laid out for you. You know what the task is. Like if I had someone who basically goes, today you've got to do this, and this, I'd be like, and then at the end of it, you get like flashy XP points and credits that you can just get cool stuff out of.
Yeah.
Mate, talk about carrot and stick.
I'm telling you, man, you want to patent that now. Get on the website there and see if that is a
XP points. We're always ahead in Hardy Books, man. Like the virtual pub, and we're always the vapes as well, like weed vapes, scented vapes. We're fucking always ahead. It's like, why didn't I do that? I could have been the next fucking Elon Musk. Bitcoin. Did you buy any Bitcoin, Al?
No, but a few of my buddies are very
Did you get in early?
They don't. It's a lot. I don't know how it works, right? I'm not even going to try and explain it. But a lot of my buddies are they trade in coins and currencies and stuff, and they're like, yeah,
that's what Mark Mulholland down there.
20 grand, and then they ring me, I'm down 50 grand, and I'm up 20 grand. I'm down. I'm like, geez, how do you sleep at night?
Should we get Mark Mulholland to give us you and Mark Mulholland could be brothers, man.
Get him on. Get him on.
Yeah, Mark, get on, man. I'd be like, here, how are you, lad? Lord. He's a good lord, man. He's a good lord.
Mulholland when he's at home.
Oh, mate, yourself and himself would get on fucking brilliantly. You'd be like, here, a lord. I'll send him the link. Get on the computer there, Mark, and we'll bring you in for the crack.
I'll just go back to just a comment here that I need to reply because it hit me. This guy, Gunch van Leyden, did I say that right? Gunch van Leyden?
Yeah.
He says that, hold on, my So my mouse is gone. I can't read the comments. Gone now. Damn
Oh
it.
no, there was an earlier stage that became. Oh right, yeah. Because I was thinking that when I was saying it, there was an earlier stage of Devil May Cry. No one knows what happened to the haunted house version of Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, it got deleted from the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that he's right on that, but that's not the comment he said. He said something about Alien Trilogy.
Oh, Alien Trilogy was a fucking great
Yeah.
game, or as the lads in school used to call it, Alien Triology. did
Why did everyone call it that? What the hell is that? Alien Trilogy.
Oh, that's fucking brilliant, man.
Man, oh god.
Alien Triology's class, man.
What you get for Christmas? Alien Triology and time.
Oh, that's fucking brilliant, man.
I'll tell you one thing, right? I scared the absolute bejesus out of my mother with Alien Trilogy one time. I used to leave my PlayStation on, but turn my telly off because I was like, I didn't care. You know, a stupid kid. You know, when your mad come in and go, she's hoovering, get in your reading room, and you just turn off the telly. Yeah, it's off. But the
Yeah,
PlayStation
it's like laundry. It just, you throw it on the floor and then it magically appears in your shelf all folded and nice.
yeah.
Oh,
So-
here we got the Lord in. Can you put the
How are
camera
you,
on, Mark?
Lord?
Can you?
Hang on a sec. Can you?
I want to see you guys on the same screen, just to know you're the
Hang on,
same dude.
I just happened to smoke. Hang on a sec. I'll talk for now, and then I'll turn this on when I switch over to the iPad. There's a few technical difficulties.
Hey, sure. I was living it earlier on. Would you get extra?
No,
How are you, Mark? How's it going?
nice to
man.
meet you. It's Martin. You're being a bit rude there, not introducing me to.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So one of my top boys here is Mark Mulholland. He's a good scheme. We met in Sweden about 7 years ago, and I was working in a pub, and he goes, "Oh, hero lad, what the fuck you, Eddie Durkin, working behind a pub for?" And I was like, "It's called a job. A fucking, you got it, man. Sweden's a weird one.
You only lasted a fucking day, didn't you?
No, I lasted 3 days. You fucking Larry bastard.
We went on the piss that fucking night or something like that.
We did, yeah. You were talking hard chat. It's funny. Me and Mark and our mate Danny Moha. Danny. He the three of us drove from Stockholm to
originally to Dublin, and then to you went on to Mayo then.
Yeah, so we brought the van back because I moved the stuff in the van, and I was just getting fucking tickets left, right, and center, and it was stressing me out. And so the idea was bring the van back to Ireland. And then Mark had broke his leg at his birthday party and couldn't. He was supposed to be helping me co-pilot, but his leg was in one of those plastic space boots. So we brought the services of Danny Moha, our friend, the Lizard Man. So he was like, "Yeah, I'm a cab driver. I'm a professional driver. Yeah. Clarkson will be proud. Yeah. Richard the Hammered Hamster. Yeah. Tribbiani." And so the thing is, we'd be driving along the motorway in Germany, and then because it was a right-hand drive van, he just kept drifting onto those runners on the side of the roads. I'd be like, I'd be like, "Fucking hell, what? Chill out."
Or traffic.
Or traffic, yeah. And because Mark didn't have to do anything, he had the liberty of just getting absolutely lushed in the van the whole time. So we stopped off at this defunct passenger ferry that was now turned into the biggest off license in Germany, which was in Rostock. So it was just like a boat turned into an office. We got a load of cans and stuff from there. And then the plan was we had 7 days to get from Stockholm to Dublin. So we were like, we'll tip away nicely, have a night in Copenhagen, then try and get to Berlin or go straight to Amsterdam the next day. And then after that, we spend a couple of days up around Brittany, Saint Michel. There he is. How are you, Lord? Put the glasses on, Mark. Oh, it's got the glass. See, you could be brothers, man. You could be brothers.
Separated at birth, mate.
I had to turn off the TV. I had it on the YouTube on the TV there, and then there was a lot of like background shite and all that everything else, so I can barely see. I'm trying through like a web URL on my phone, so I can barely see anything. But yeah, it's working. Al, love your chats about the cars. You sound like you know your stuff anyway.
I try, man. It's mostly just from memory of playing Gran Turismo all of my life. Martin, sorry, lads. Where's the link for this? I've loads of people messaging me on my Instagram asking me for the link.
Oh, yeah. You know what I'll do? I'll oh shit. Let me see. I have to go into YouTube. Bear with me now.
Sorry,
Get them on, man. Get them on.
howling at me here, going, well, how do I listen?
It's called Turismo Lavin with Al Harris. Turismo Lavin's after you. Hold on. Let me. I'll put this in the. But tell them Maloney's Digest is the channel, and the name of the video is Turismo Lavin. Should we get a couple of boys on in a minute? We'll. Hey, Mark, do you want to explain the crack with the van coming back from? The name of the video is Turismo Lavin. Should we get a couple of boys on in a minute? We'll. Hey, Mark, do you want to explain the crack with the?
There's a few stories from the van itself, like.
Boys on in a minute. We'll
Whoa! What holy delay!
There's a few. That's resident. It's probably me. Hang on, I'll rejoin from something else.
No, hold on.
What holy delay!
That's resident.
How about this, guys?
What's going on with the delay?
No, hold on.
What holy delay!
Hold on. How about this, guys?
What's going on with the delay?
Hold on.
It's retarded. Holy shit, that was scary. What happened?
I'm muted.
Technical gremlins.
Can you hear me?
How we now? Turismo Lavin with Al Harris. Oh yeah.
Who was responsible for that fuck up?
I have no idea what happened there, man. But where's Mark gone? He's gone.
Yeah, he left the building for a second. He'll be back. He'll be back. Yeah. So basically, when we had this lovely journey planned, and I was doing the preparation to the van before heading off, but the fan belt was a bit squeaky, and I was like, it's nothing to worry about. But what was happening is it was so loose that it wasn't charging the battery because the alternator wasn't moving. So literally, like 3 hours on the road, I'm like, fuck me, man, it's very dark out there, and I was putting that full beams on, I couldn't see, and there's cars flashing us, and then we realized that we'd gradually the car was able to drive, but we had no headlights, so we had to stop and then jump start it, and I was wearing a pair of fucking flip-flops, and then fell over while pushing the van. And I don't think we'd understood the full concept. Well, I understood the concept of popping the clutch out second to get it going again, but we had to. There was actually nothing left in the battery. Then we realized if we left the van running, you could start it. So obviously we didn't make it to Copenhagen that night, and then we started the next day, and we got robbed by some let's say Eastern European bad boys who came, and they stopped us on the road, and we were like, oh, this must be the these lads who were stopping us. As we were going past, they'd stopped like a green Skoda Felicia, and I was like, yeah, those lads are dodgy. And then the same lads came on this S-Class Mercedes in front of us, and they're like, this, slow down. And then all of us were like, oh, the van, there's something wrong with the van. So we pull in, right, like fucking idiots. And they're like, my friend, we are broken down. We have no money for petrol. We have been robbed. I was like, right. And he goes, oh, Ireland, yes. My cousin lives in Athlone. I'm like, whereabouts? I don't know. And then, so like, he was like, do you want to buy a mobile phone? And we're like, and I had a hammer in the kind of side of, I was like, he's getting that. I had my hand on the hammer, and like, Mark was like, here, he goes, oh, here, how much for the phone, man? So Mark had the wallet, and he was just steaming, and he had the wallet up in the corner of the dashboard, and he goes, I'll give you 70 quid for the hammer, man, or for the phone. And then this weird transaction had happened where he had these two fake gold rings, so Mark had given him the 70 quid. He puts these two fake gold rings in my hand and fucks off with the cash, and then he's gone. See, I couldn't pull out either because there was a complete blind spot over my left shoulder. So if I just pulled out and he boxes in, we could have fucking ended up getting smashed and killed. So Mark was like, the car just goes. We didn't even get a chance to get a picture of its number plate. And then he's like, "Oh, here, lad, what just happened?" And I went, "You've been fucking had off." And Liz was like, "Fucking gypsy bastards." Yeah. So yeah, and off they went. And yeah, and then I remember like we had the first time when we were getting off the ferry from Sweden to Denmark from what was the name of the town, Mark?
I think Mark's on, man. Is Mark still in the chat?
Yeah, he's still in the chat, yeah.
Still here.
Oh fuck, I've got to add him, have I? Oh, add the stream.
There he is. How are you now?
Well, lads, you can see me now.
It's like looking in the mirror.
Ah, great. I caught a bit of that on the TV. So I was running the TV AirPods at the same time. I think that's what the background noise.
Oh yeah, that'll do it. That'll
happened.
do it.
You were telling the story about when you were robbed by.
No, you were robbed. You were swindled tenderly. You know what it was? It was broad. It was daylight robbery.
It was brass rings. That's what it was.
Yeah,
it was a fake phone and brass rings.
Yeah, but you didn't even get the phone. But so later on, do you remember, Mark? Because the van was so fucking messed up. We remember when we got off the boat from Sweden to Denmark. They had to get the lads who were working on the boat to help push us off the boat.
Not just Sweden to Denmark. When we got to Malmo, it broke down that day. So we got in the van. Everyone was going well. It broke down. Not even at Malmo, man. It was like 3 hours out. It was just outside of Stockholm. It was far enough away from Stockholm to be hard enough to get back to. Yeah. And then we're thinking, all right, we're already on our journey. What we do is the van going to make it to Dublin. So I think we were in a petrol station at that time, and we jumped it. Yeah. So I had a broken leg. And
Liz was just on the phone all the time on Facebook, and I was like,
"We're there pushing the van with like 3 or 4 other guys just helping us," and then Liz just ringing people like, like, "Could you not try jumping?" It does jump, and we do get it going.
Lads, we're not
stopping. We can't
stop.
Love
it, lads, though. Have you noticed whenever there's a car or a vehicle broken down, all sorts of lads, right?
Come out of nowhere.
Just come out of nowhere, and it's like it's the best.
We gave
everyone in the panic. Everyone's my father.
We gave the same help back. So we were coming up to Amsterdam, and we see this like massive like school bus essentially at the side of the road in a ditch, like right in the ditch, and a lot of like cool looking Australian dudes just standing around confused as fuck. So I was like,
trying to dig it out with skateboards because there was a huge storm the night before as well.
So we went over and we were like, all right, lads, what's the crack? Yeah, we're just traveling through Europe. We got stuck in the ditch. And they're also kind of like, laid back about it and everything like that. I was like, have you tried to get out? Yeah. Every time we try to like reverse, it just gets more stuck in the mud. And they're all skateboarders. And it's like, have you tried put a skateboard underneath the wheels and reverse out? And they're like, that's a great idea.
That was a cool bus, man. It was like an old like Mercedes like minibus that
really cool,
like a house. So there was like bunk beds in it and everything. And they were like, "All right, guys, like real cool, Melbourne, Sydney. I don't know where they're from, mate, but like we added a few of them on Facebook. Brendan Buckley, big shout out to my main man. They had cool hats and they were like, long 3/4 length t-shirts and like ripped jeans and shit. And
are you still mates with them on Facebook? Are you?
Yeah, man. I'd be looking at what he's at. And his friends are some good-looking women, man. Some good-looking women.
I've never seen like really odd. Like met these guys randomly outside Amsterdam or wherever it was, and then
remember the snake.
God, like 1 or 2 of them are friends on Facebook, and then seeing like a year or 2 later that they're mutual friends with someone I knew in Ireland, and like how small like the world is after that.
Yeah, well, do you remember Mark Snakey boy?
Oh, tell everyone that story.
So basically, where we were parked in Amsterdam,
Monkey Snake.
Yeah, where we parked in Amsterdam was across the river.
How many of you were witches?
There's 3 of us, right? There's 3 of us. So basically, we had a night out in. So basically, to recap, the van kept breaking down, and then when we got pushed off the boat in Sweden to Denmark, and then we managed to drive to. We got robbed, and then on the way to Hamburg, we had to get another.
We were robbed in Copenhagen, and then we got
Copenhagen on the motorway.
Yeah, then we got to Hamburg, and the the guys there, the mechanics there, sorted the van out. Like it probably was a couple.
No. We haven't got there yet. So we get robbed, and then we try and ring the police and sort that out. That was a no-go. So we keep driving. So we get to because the lights weren't on. It was summertime. You didn't need to. So it wasn't draining the battery. So we get onto the ferry from Denmark to Germany, and then when we literally were at the very front of the passenger ferry, and it was like starting fucking Formula One. There was like all these red lights going ding, 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 and I was like, please, God, let this start, man. The whole ferry, it's basically the main ferry from Denmark to Germany, and it's packed, and we're the very front. So like we're at the front of the ferry, and it's like red light, red light, red light, red light. It was like a drag race, green light, and I'm like, please. And it was like,
we had no hope either. Like I was thinking, there's no way this is going to start, and there's going to be 50 cars full of people behind us that are just going to be like,
we can't get back to Germany.
What kind of van was it?
The highest.
Lads, used to be some men to kill a highest.
This highest was in the winter of Sweden for 3 or 4 months. They're just stationary.
Yeah, I had to park it at the lad's place. But the thing, it wasn't even the battery. The battery was sound. It was the what you call it? The fucking the fan belt was loose. And so basically we get to Denmark, and as we're driving through Germany, the lights have gone off completely, and we're on the road, and we couldn't pull it. There was nowhere to pull into, so we have no lights on the main motorway. And then at one stage, we found a little slip road, and I bought these things from Biltema with these little handy torches, which were like a 9-volt battery, and you clip on these LED lights. So at one stage, I was driving with this light out the front of out the side of the fucking door, trying to see the road. So we figured out that if we let the engine idle for a bit, it charged up the battery. So we got to Copenhagen, and on the way to Copenhagen, we meet this Dutch guy who's living in the north of Sweden, and he made these knives out of deer antlers, out of bone. Yeah, they were cool. He was like, "You want to buy one of these knives?" I was like, "How much?" He was like, €75. I was like, "Won't be able to get that back on the plane, mate." So
it was a place that you'd find like we're at the side of the road on like a massive like autobahn kind of thing, and you're just trying to like, sleep, and yet like it's middle of the night.
Oh no, that's what happened. Of course, Liz was driving, and he forgot that you couldn't turn the engine off, so he fucking conked it, and we were like, oh. And again, lads willing to help you push the thing, and goes, "I got some tools in the van, I can help," and then he tightened it. So when we got into Hamburg, it was just non-stop all the way through the streets, and the
I don't think it was a fan belt. It was some other type of belt.
The one that was charging the alternator.
Yeah. Is that you'd know better.
It wasn't a fan belt. It was the
auxiliary belt. Like it's just
auxiliary
it was something like that. And it was it was really simple, but it was really key. So like we could drive the car, the engine would be a bit dodgy, but we had no fucking headlights. And we were, 5 days from Sweden to Dublin, and we were driving a lot at night, so like we needed it.
Man, you think to yourself, there's nothing gonna be wrong with a high ace. Do you know what I mean? And then, oh man, misery. That's how.
Yeah, it could be all for luck, because we were supposed to be in Amsterdam 2 days afterwards, but we eventually we stay in Hamburg, and the lads went out. I was just we're in a hotel. I was like, I'm too fucking knackered. I'm gonna go to sleep. And the two lads ended up in some sort of gay bar on the Reaper Barn or something. And then when we got to Amsterdam the next day. When we arrived at this car parking place, the heavens opened up, and it was just a massive thunderstorm, and then just mad wind. And so we went out around Amsterdam, and then we came back the next day. So we were on borrowed time now at this stage. We couldn't stick around anywhere for long. So we meet the Aussie guys, and after we liberate their van and exchange pleasantries, I look over this wall, and there's this huge like IKEA Python teddy. So I was like, "Fuck me, let's try and attach that to the front."
Like 12 foot long,
huge thing called Snakey Boy. He was going to be our mascot. So we took some bungee cables and we tied them. And bearing in mind that, right?
It's the van from the Hardy Bucks film as well.
But it's been pimped, right? We pimped it because we went to Biltema, this huge like car store. So I get some like gold spray paint. I spray paint the wheels gold. I took like a Ferrari badge that had a moose doing this on it. Stick that on the front of it as well. So the thing is just a magnet for like customs and cops. Like,
Did you spray the side of it as well with something like?
No, I just did the wheels gold and the Ferrari badge on the front and back of it.
Like,
so,
if anyone had seen us driving around, I bear in mind I was drunk from when we left to
wearing a
when
Pokemon hat. And
wearing
you got Liz, who basically looks like Ziggy
Ash,
Stardust. You know, you got David Bowie fucking driving. You know, like this big ginger.
And if you ever seen our friend Danny
Mower with
Mower,
a boot on.
like Danny Mower is like I don't know, the most glam rock guy you could ever imagine from the 80s. Just doesn't give a shit, and yet he's a professional driver, and he's driving the car.
I mean, professional drivers, because taxi drivers, they drive for a living, but professional drivers, I mean,
I'll leave you to have that argument with Danny. But
I've been cut off by a lot of them, and they don't indicate ever, and then they never let you out. So are they that professional? I don't know.
They get into bad habits.
I have a buddy like him called Kinchy, and he looks like he just walked straight out. Like if you're watching The Lost Boys, it looks like he walked out of the screen. Like that's what he looks like, and you're like, oh, Jesus, room now, boys. You know what I mean? That's what he looks like.
Do you know the other funny thing was when we were outside the service station in Germany, there was a nest of ground wasps, which are fucking notoriously dangerous. So as we're leaving this like McDonald's, we're being chased by these wasps. What the fuck's going on? What the fuck? The ground wasps. I'm like, what ground wasp? And like grund yeeting, as he was saying, like in Swedish. And then we were like, don't worry about these fucking wasps, man. They just walk away and they'll be grand, but these things will follow you. We're chasing
I think it was on the fucking cider that I drank.
You poured cider on their fucking nest, man. So a whole load of these dangerous wasps were chasing us, but Mark was on the crutches with his fucking RoboCop boot. So
it was the same one that Dave Grohl got when he broke his leg in Sweden.
Yeah, exactly the same one. Yeah,
I was fucking well proud of that. It was like the same week or around the same time. Actually, maybe he broke his a little bit later, but I think he went to the same hospital. They gave me this fucking boot, and then that was that.
Yeah, but back to the snake. So we're driving over the border into fucking Belgium, and a huge thunderstorm kicks off. So basically, the snake is sopping wet. So we're driving along doing like 85 miles an hour. Next thing we hear, dunk, dunk. And I was like, what the fuck is that? I look in the rear view mirror and the snake is just tumbling like this.
With like cars behind us, like fucking this huge big
So we get to Roscoff in France, we chill out, we get on the boat, and then Mark is like, here, lads, pints. So Mark gets seasick on the boat, and he's like, he's eating the fucking steak in the restaurant. He's like, can't fucking touch that, man. I'm gonna throw up. So for the entire journey on the boat, Mark was completely seasick. And then when we get off, right, and we drop Mark off into Skerries, and like a fucking Egypt. Instead of me just going straight out of the M50, I went into the docks. But there was an all island hurling final on that day, so myself and Liz are stuck in Dublin then for an hour and a half trying to get out. And then when we get past, or just before you get to Strokestown, like, oh yeah, the other thing, the fucking spindle on the window wiper is going too far into the gully and it's dragging all the shit up over the screen. So I'm looking out about a sliver like this in the drizzle coming back, and this voice of like a premonition came to me and goes, maybe you should slow down because it'd be typical for something to happen so close to home after this.
You said that to me when you dropped me off. Like, it was always kind of in the back of your mind that something was going to go wrong, bad. Like, you know, there was going to be a crash, and probability wise, you probably would have been right. And then you dropped me off and was like, you know, I'm nearly there now, and then go on ahead.
So yeah, so we're driving, we're coming from the Shannon up towards Strokestown, and as we're going across, as we're coming up the hill and around the bend towards the straight, this fucking asshole in a tractor just pulls right out in front of us. So I hit the brakes, and then the back wheels start spinning out. So I'm just like, thanks to years of Gran Turismo, man, fucking turned it and I was drifting sideways.
Hell, you
So
know.
yeah, literally the van is going parallel like this, and Liz is going, "What the fuck is going on? We're in a crash!" And next thing, bang, hit the road barrier, and I'm just like, "Fuck, what's going on here?" And then we're looking at the van, and I'm like, not a fucking scratch on it, man. It's just the small headlight was broken, and so I'm looking at it, and I was like, "You pulled out right in front of us, man, without any lights." And he's like, "Oh, she was lit up, all right, she was lit up," and you can see them kicking the dirt into the fucking side of the road. So I was so shocked after that. And Liz was like, "Maloney, I have to say, I'm a professional driver. And I have to say, the way you handled the car in that situation was phenomenal." And I was like, yeah. So we're driving away discussing it. And then we're seeing all these cars coming towards us, blinking their headlights. And I'm like, "Oh, fuck, I'm on the right side of the road." I was on the right side of the road instead of the left side of the road.
The wrong side of the road.
Because we were just used to driving on the right all the time. Yeah, so I got back then, and I got my uncle to sell me the van. I was like, I asked for $2,000 for it, Tommy. And then when he was selling to this lad, the whole fucking face and bumper just goes dunk and falls off.
Literally made it. I have a funny, you know, that story of like, will it get home? Is this going to happen? The breakdown of like, are we fighting in such an uphill battle now? Should we just leave this here and get a flight and just throw in the towel here? Every time, so I live in the UK about 4 years, okay, this time around, and every time I have a best friend from Dublin named Jeff, who's actually watching it now, and I know he's tuned in and he knows. Like,
Jeff.
I'm looking, I can see his face now going, "Oh my God, I know what story's coming here." Do you know what I mean? So every time Jeff has tried to visit me while I've lived here, it's just been an absolute nightmare. It's like it's cursed. It's like he cannot visit me over here. He just comes over and it's like he misses flights, he forgets things, I forget things, everything happens. But one time that he was supposed to come over was to help me with an event in London. And I was living in Birmingham at the time. So I said, "Jeff, fly into Birmingham, we drive to London, do the event, you fly home from London. Sounds easy. Grand." So he gets to the airport after me sending him a flight about 2 months before the event. And he's standing in the airport and he's about to get on the plane. And it's just like, "Oh, yeah, I didn't know you needed a passport." So I was like, "Oh, Jeff, I've like put you on a staff as this event. I need you here, man." I was like, "Tell you what, Birmingham to Holyhead is like 3 hours." I said, "Forget it. Go straight to the ferry port, jump on the ferry. I'll go and collect you." He's like, "Really? Yeah, no bother. You don't need a passport to get on the ferry. Just get on and I'll meet you on the other side." So he's getting on a ferry at 9 o'clock at night and getting off at midnight. Now there's no trains after midnight going from Holyhead, going anywhere. So you're stuck there. So I had no choice but to collect him.
Fucking bad place to be stuck.
Oh, the most miserable, most depressing place in the whole world. I'm sorry if anyone's from Holyhead. It's just, it is, right? They put a bleeding shopping centre there or something. Anyway,
we had a night there when we came back from filming the Hardy books, and it was just like, you've been to all these metropolitan cities and cool places, and it's just like a pub in Holyhead, and it was like karaoke. It was like, fuck me, it's depressing.
Ripped pool tables and all. Just like,
yeah.
Scaldy. If there ever was a meaning for the word Scaldy, it's Holyhead. So anyway, Jeff gets on the ferry. He's like, "Hey ho, it's a 3-hour drive for you. It's a 3-hour ferry for me.
Split the difference.
We split the difference. Meet you, and I'll buy you a Big Mac." Do you know what I mean? For making the effort, grand. So I jumped into my pickup truck that I use on a daily basis. It's like a workhorse. I'm driving, and I get about like, if you've ever driven from Birmingham to Holyhead, you drive through like Snowdonia a little bit to cut through. So it's a bit dark and it's a bit rural. There's nothing around. So it's about 10 o'clock at night and I hear clinkety, 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 clank. And the timing chain snaps on my pickup truck.
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh, here we go, man. Right, here we go."
Timing chain.
Yeah, this is the start of it. So Jeff has no signal, so I can't communicate with him going, "Oh, when you get off the ferry, you're going to be delayed." So he's just like on the ferry going, "This is going to be great, going to London." Do you know what I mean? So I'm about 2 hours away from picking him up, and I'm like, "What am I going to do? I have no way of moving my truck." So a police car passes by, I flag him down. I was like, "You broke down, mate." I'm like, "Yeah, cool. I thought you were robbing the Jeep." Just drive straight off. I was like, "Well, they're not going to help me, are they?" So I ring my buddy who lives in Birmingham, who has a recovery truck. And I said, dude, can I borrow your car? And can you come put your car? I came up with this idea in like 15 minutes. I was like, if he puts his car on the truck, drives to me, takes his car off, puts my truck on, and then drives on to Birmingham. This is
very opportunistic.
Yeah, like this will
Great
work.
idea.
He said, yeah, no problem. He had an Audi A5. Said, great. So he arrives with this Audi A5 on the back of his truck, whips it off, said, mate, can I leave with you? He's like, yeah, sort it out tomorrow. Go, Godspeed. And I was like, yeah, great. So I jump into the Audi and I floor it. I'm like, yeah, we're on the move again. Jeff gets off the ferry when I'm driving about another half an hour. He's like, I'm off the ferry. I was like, gonna be late, but I sorted it. Just as I got off the phone to him, and I mean just as I like went hang up, and I was like, yeah, it's happening now. Backward fire pops on the thing, and I was like, this is not even my car now at this stage. And I get out and I'm like, he has to have a spare. He's a recovery truck driver. He had the donut wheel, but he had the wrong wheel brace and the wrong jack in his car. So I get out and I start jacking the car up. And the jack that he has is off like a Renault Clio. I don't know if you've ever seen a jack that just does this. Do you ever see them jacks that just like, just like, what are they for? Like, so this Audi A5, this 2-ton car is being held up by this like little piece of flimsy metal, and me trying to pull on this wheel. So about a half an hour trying to do this, man. And I swear to God, I am screaming, cursing, screaming, going crazy, going, I can't believe this. And Jeff's off the ferry going, man, where am I going to go? Like, what will I do? How do I get towards you? So I sort that. I get off the phone to him and I literally lift the car, you know, like one of those moments where I have to do this. I lifted
Superhuman strength.
Yeah, I lifted the car myself on the jack. I kicked the wheel on. And just as I did it, it started lashing rain and thunder, and I just went, ah! Like screamed up to the sky like something out of an 80s action movie. So I get onto I get the wheel on and I start flying towards Jeff. And meanwhile, he's having his own scenario. You know when you watch one of those TV shows and it's like their scenario and this is what's happening. Yeah. From his view, it was him meeting up all these mad lads who are on this stag do that missed their flight. Our mates stag do in Liverpool, and they got on the same ferry, and they just went, "Here, we're going to Liverpool. Jump in with us." So he's having all this crack in a taxi, and I Google Map and tell him get out with this services, and the lads are like, it's completely closed, and there's no one around, and it's like really seedy, and they're like, "Are you sure you want to get out here? Like you've got no one around." He's like, "No, my mate's meeting me here," and he's like, "After what's just happened to your mate, do you really think he's coming?" So anyway. Everyone's involved in it. It's like the end of The Wedding Singer. You know, when they're on the plane, they're like, "You need to get it back, mate." Like they're all in this guy in this taxi, just going, "You need to get to your friend. Wow, we need to help this guy. Like, what's going on?" So I eventually pick him up, and the original plan was fly into Birmingham. Me and him have a Bentley and an M5 to drive, so 200 grand cars. And I said, we fly into Birmingham, we'll have dinner, and then we'll get up early and drive to London. I picked him up at this service station, and then I drove back, got another car, picked him up. By the time I got in, it was the time we had to leave to go to London. So we were like stressed, no shower, absolutely wrecked. And then the two of us are looking at each other going, are we actually driving another 4 hours now to go to London? Needless to say, we got there, and it was just one of them. But when Jeff had to go home, we realised that Jeff was now stuck in London. So he had to get a train all the way back to Holyhead. And as he was lying on his bag waiting for the ferry to go back after the event had done and all, and someone just kicked him in the bag, and it was the taxi driver that picked him up, and he was like, "What happened with your mate?" So needless to say, Jeff doesn't visit me a lot because that happens every time. But
that's it's a bit like me and my mate Kinsella when I was about 18. We were like, okay, let's go to Liverpool for the weekend. So we thought we'd walk down to the port and get the boat, only to find out there was no boat. So then we went to the airport, paid about fucking £250 for a flight into Manchester, take the train from Manchester into Liverpool, went out on the Saturday night, and like it was a decent night. And I was staying with my sister, but then we went up to, as we were on our way to Manchester, Chris was like, "Oh, I want to see Old Trafford." So I was like, as a Liverpool fan, I was like, fucking hell, I'm gonna walk around Old Trafford. So you've been there before, yeah, but I want to go again. So what we did is we went to Old Trafford just to walk around the stadium a few times, get on the train, but we didn't pay for tickets on the tram. So all these fucking goons in orange jackets just come and grab us. And I didn't have 20 quid to pay the fine there, so they delayed me. Then we missed our flight out of Manchester Airport and had to spend the night in Manchester. And I had a bit of weed on me. And there was this thing that said, oh yeah, weed has now been decriminalized in England. So I was like, Sam, man, you can smoke anywhere. So I rolled one up in the airport. We were staying in the airport for the night. Just started smoking a joint in the fucking restaurant bit. Going, it's grandma, no one cares. Thankfully, nothing happened there. But yeah, so yeah, basically it was one of them. It was one of those occasions where you're really trying to force it, and you should be like, nah, I think we should just knock this on the head right now.
Like,
before it.
do you know when you're like
$1,000, man? The whole weekend cost $1,000.
do you know when you're driving in a foreign country, it's always so kind of like you're always a bit confused. Even if you're on the same side of the road, like you were talking about Japanese cars earlier on, and like they're right hand drive. Like I always found that if I switch over to left hand drive or anything, it doesn't really change anything. But when you're on the other side of the road in like Europe or anything, it really fucks with your head. And then the whole time, your whole kind of trip is a bit kind of like, this is a bit odd. But like Martin, you were saying the weed thing. I don't know how you're that stupid that you believe. I was in. Me and my English mate from years ago when I lived in France. He's from Liverpool, and we were driving around in his God, I can't remember the name of the car, what car it was, but it was like a 1987 something or other, little kind of hatchback, like my Skoda Fabia, my 2000 Skoda Fabia, light as fuck, had nothing behind it, but a car you love for no reason, but you love the car. And we were in, like you're saying, a train station, and similar story to your weed, but it was a drug dealer trying to sell us weed, even though he had a dog with him. And he was there trying to catch people. His job was to catch people. So he had a dog that was like trained on command to say, Monsieur was the kill word if people like drugs. Yet this guy was still trying to sell us weed. We're like, do we buy the weed or not buy the weed? Is he legit or is he not legit? It's like when you're in foreign countries, you're just kind of like, fuck. Do I believe it or not believe it? I don't know how you got taken for a ride in England that weed.
Yeah.
Well, no, that was on the news.
That weed was decriminalized.
Yeah. So I mean, basically,
Really?
what it means nowadays, looking back, fucking 20 years later, is that if you're caught with a small amount on you, you won't face a criminal. It'll be seized off you, but you won't face any criminal actions for it. And I just meant that I just thought it was full on Amsterdam.
You can just smoke away.
Misunderstood what they meant. But I remember, speaking of which, I remember being a witness in 2000. Witness in 2001. Actually, I'll tell you what made me wise to it was the amount Steve.
I'm a cigarette.
All right, your man Steve, who was selling us the Honda Civic there in the Hardy Books,
right?
And we were on Grafton Street, and this really dodgy dude comes up to us and he goes, "Do you want to buy some hash, man? Do you want to buy some hash?" I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be class." So he goes, "Here, smell that," and he had this little nudge, tiny piece, and he goes, "Smell that's real, isn't it?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure is." So then I go, "Steve, I ain't got any cash on me, man," and he goes, "Sure, I'll take it out the machine." So he goes and takes 20 quid out of it, and then we go to Stephen. Oh no, we buy it off him, and then we go to Stephen's Green. We buy papers. We're like, "Class, man, we got some weed," and then we open it up. It's just a piece of fucking Pete Brickett wrapped in cling film, and we're just like, "Fuck." He's like, "Yeah, nice one. That was my 20 quid as well."
You got stung hard.
Oh yeah, stung. So a year later, we're same lads, Kinsella, Stevie Price, the Kennedys, Tordoff, Brainy Turbot, all the boys. We're all there in witness, and I walk over and they're talking to this fucking dodgy like red-haired guy in his like late 30s, early 40s. So I was built it myself. But he was like proper dodgy. And he goes, so I went, what's going on here, lads? And he's like, yeah, you Martin here? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, you want to buy some hash? I was like, yeah, that'd be class. And then so he pulls out this fucking nodge of board pneumonia Pete Brickett, and you can actually see the outline of the B on it. And I was like, oh god, here we go now, man. How am I going to get out of it? It was such enthusiasm with how I asked for it. So I went, you know what, on second thoughts, I'm kind of thinking best save me money for food and a few beers, really. Oh no, this is good stuff. I'll tell you what I'll do you a deal. I'll do it for 30. Nah, mate, honestly, you know, I'm not feeling it. And he goes, all right, 20, 15. I give it to you for a tenner. I was like, and he goes, do you want to buy some yolks? I was like, nah, you're all right, mate. He pulls out a box of Tree Ball Mighty Mint, these little like breath fresheners, and he's like, here, buy some pills off me. I was like, mate, just leave it, will you? But so there's dodgy, it goes through, there's dodgy people all around.
Well,
like,
I paid more for a brass ring than you did for that brickhead of Pete.
Even
Well, I didn't buy it off of Mark, so there. Was,
I still blame you for that now, in fairness. Like,
why is that my mate? You were the one who goes, oh, here a lot. How much for the phone? You're the one who the fuck leaves their wallet up on the dashboard with notes sticking out of it? I mean, like, who does that?
It was all the way over the left-hand side.
Who does that?
And in fairness, the phone looked like it was legit. The rings, I wasn't sure.
Legit, but he's not going to sell a fucking, what was it, like a Samsung?
It was in my hand. The phone was in my hand until he asked for the, can I take the SIM out of it?
In fairness,
and then
take the SIM out.
You handed the SIM back. You handed the phone back to him so he could take the SIM. He was like, come on.
Man, my hands did not, because I didn't want any part of it, man. I wanted no part of that transaction. It was one of the fastest sleight of hands.
In fairness, they were very good. They were very good.
It was like David Copperfield shit, like. Yeah. And once he was just dust in the wind, man. He was gone.
Well, and, we could have tried to chase him in our Toyota Hiace and like fucking M5 BMW. I don't think he would have got very far.
Brian Slug said, "What breed of D4 is Mark anyway?"
I'm not. I'm actually a Northsider.
Oh, yeah. Where are you from?
North County Dublin. So I'm from Skerries.
Skerries, right? So you're
this is the lad I was talking about yesterday.
Or I'm closer to Meath than fucking Dublin. You know, it's
right.
Went to school in Meath. Born and bred in Skerries. Lived Miami, Sweden with the big red machine. France, but yeah, I'm definitely not from D4.
You lived in two holiday destinations, Miami and Skerries. I remember when, I don't know, you lived in Skerries, but for me, I grew up in the city centre of Dublin, right? And going to Skerries was like it was like honestly the equivalent of going to Ibiza as a 5-year-old kid. It was like, we're going to Skerries because there was no motorway, so it took like 2 hours to get.
Yeah, the old road. Yeah, it's a lovely place, and it was a lovely place to grow up. But it's a bit boring when you get a bit older. Like it's still really nice.
It was don't be putting Skerries down. I love Skerries. Skerries is a place of my heart.
That's a nice town, because I thought it was a bit. I was under the impression it was rough, because I'd heard all these stories from headers I knew from Rush and Skerries.
But you only know headers. Fair
enough. That's why I'm talking to you lads.
My business partner's from Balbriggan. He's in the other. Pricey, is Skerries rough?
No, I live in
Pricey,
Skerries.
he lives in Skerries.
You might know you, Mark.
Do you know Mark?
It's been a while since I lived in Skerries.
Yeah, Skerries. Skerries, is it? I was going to say, so you know, we haven't spoke about. We haven't gave Crusade a shout about what you lads are at, the movement. So we have Al Crusade. There's your Instagram handle on mine. Actually, Mark, I should put yours up as well.
You can leave mine out. I'm not much of a Instagrammer or Twitter or Facebook or.
I heard you love Twitter, man.
Well, not anymore since Donald Trump got taken out. There's no crack anymore.
Yeah. Man, it's like every time you go on Twitter, it's like you go into Discover and it's just like something to do with Trump, and I'm like, fucking hell, man, they're obsessed with him. It's just, the dude is a fucking former real estate reality TV show president. You know what I mean? He's a fucking businessman from Queens. Like,
Well,
he's
you can't
gonna-
make it up, but yet you can. Like it's the world is just all fucking made up now. Like, you know?
I mean, they must be gutted that he's out of the fucking picture. He's out of the picture because they're going to be taking hits left, right, and center.
Yeah, like you know, he's like no matter what you can say about him, he's always a news headline or you know something like that.
Hey,
He's always something
he's
to
a
talk.
headline guy.
You know?
All the negative stuff away, you have to hand it to the guy. He's been bankrupt more times than anything, and he's in Home Alone. He had
He was in Home Alone, yeah.
and he became the president of the United States.
Yeah, man, he's like Mr. X in Resident Evil 2.
Here, lads, to be honest, I think we should start a campaign for Macaulay Culkin to be the next president.
Yeah, because he knows Donald Trump more than anyone. So, but credit where credit's due. Everyone goes on about how they could, if they could, they'd fuck the system. He royally fucked the system, and then everyone's like, "Oh, you're doing the wrong guy." He's like, I just became president. Mic drop, fuck you, bitch. I'm done. Like,
you know, he's like fucking Mr. X from Resident Evil 2, man. He just keeps bouncing back.
You can shoot that off.
Mr. X gonna get you. But talk about Crusade, man, and events, and you know, you have an event planned for April. Hopefully, if that kicks off.
Look, events are on a sketchy path right now with COVID.
Yes, they are.
But you have to plan, man. You have to plan for it and see if you can pull it off. So bit of a background on me. I've been doing organizing like road trips and tours and driving kind of holidays, if you will, adventure travel, I like to call it, for about 12 years now. I started with loads of different companies just doing stuff across Europe and America, and then I started working for Monster Energy, and I started doing things internally with them, and then working with their brand Gymkhana, which is owned by Ken Block and stuff, and I developed this big network of people who are really like-minded, like adventure, like travel, and also like their cars. So last year, me and two of my best pals started Crusade, which is our take on adventure travel with your car. So gathering people together, everyone from like lads that we talk about and joke about, from GT starlets, A86s, all the way up to Lamborghinis, and that's what we get, and that's what we're kind of bringing together. Why we all got into this, 'cause the thing with cars is it has these like subcategories that people now put themselves in, like, oh, supercar, you only can join us if you're in a supercar. Oh, you know, we only like jack cars. Where the thing is, we're all, I come from the background of skateboarding, and skateboarding was never like that. If you hold a skateboard in your hand, you're a skater. It doesn't matter whether you walked out of a gaff from Cabinteely or you walked out of a gaff in Cabra, you're just a skateboarder. It doesn't
There's
matter.
a fierce rivalry between you and rollerbladers.
No, well, fuck rollerbladers, man. Do you know what I mean? Don't start me on rollerbladers.
The big twist.
So it's a bit like a gumball thing, but for anyone.
Yeah, the gumball is the original, the OG. They started supercar road trips. Of course, we've all seen those trips with Jackass and Bam Margera back in the day, and that's what gumball kind of started out. Gumball's been going so long, and they've created this kind of lifestyle that people want and can't achieve, because going on gumball is the equivalent of being a rock star. Like, do you know what I mean?
But you need to have your own supercar.
Yeah, with gumball, you don't really need to have a supercar. You just need to pay their 200 or 100 grand entry fee. You know, and even people that I know that
100 grand entry fee.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Okay, now
I wouldn't. I'm not going to sit here and slander gumball, because I actually think it's a great brand, and I love what Max and his team do, and they're great. They're inspirational. A lot of the companies that have started now since gumball are trying to recreate gumball and kind of create similar names and similar this, similar that. When I created Crusade and the concept of it, I wanted to stay, you know, if gumball is here and then all these companies start on their own path trying to be like gumball, the next gumball.
It's like the next cryptocurrency of car meetings.
Yeah. So I just wanted to be the one that kind of stood on its own 2 feet and stayed away. So that's why we came up with Crusade. We thought it was a great name because a crusade is like an adventure. It's like, because going on a road trip, as you know, with going in with your van,
That's brilliant crack.
when you're driving from like cross continent on Europe, you feel every single emotion. One day 1 hour you're happy, the next you're angry, the next you're pissed off, you're emotional, you're sad, you're broke, you're rich, you're everything, all crammed into 1 week. That's why I thought, some people call them driving holidays. I don't really think they are. They're a challenge. They're like a crusade. You're going against not only your car, yourself. You're testing yourself. It's endurance.
It is,
complete endurance. Can stuff go wrong? There's always that anxiety in your head going, no matter how new or old your car is, you're like, can this car might break down? Do you know what I mean? Then we're in the middle of France or whatever. So
we've experienced it. But the thing is, it's all those things that, I mean, the adversity is what makes it an experience.
Exactly.
Like life is the same way, where basically, if life, like sometimes you just have fucking hard times in life, and sometimes, I can personally speak, the last couple of years hasn't really been a fucking a bed of roses. But then if you're watching a film where just great things happen to the person all the time, it's not an interesting film. I can say, personally speaking, my life, man, it's a non-stop sitcom shit the whole time, and I find like adversity is a blessing, man, and it builds character. And it's the same thing with a good road trip. Shit's gonna go wrong, and it's it's like a night out with my mate Danny Riley. It's hard work at the time, but afterwards you got some great stories.
Yeah, but like, dude, like you said, on a road trip, no matter what, stuff goes wrong. No matter what. But the best stories are when stuff goes wrong. The best stories are developed from that. All of the stories we've told on this podcast are all of shit that's gone wrong, and the laugh we had about it, and how you can laugh about it now. And it's not only that. Say you're in your Ferrari or your Glanza or whatever you are, and then you're at a party the night before on one of our events, and you didn't get to talking to the guys in the Lamborghini, but you were broke down or having trouble, and the guys in the Lamborghini are like, let's have all this. Let's help these guys out. All of a sudden, 10 years time, those guys are at your wedding because you became best friends with them. So out of bad situations, you form friendships, you form alliances, and the stories. So I found that's what I got the buzz of, is showing people 10 countries in 1 week that they'd never visit in 10 years, and also gathering them all together, cramming them all into this crew that look out for each other instantly from the day one, like a family. So they're all on.
Nice touch. There's a lot to be said for being a band of brothers on a road trip.
Exactly.
It's just, you're and especially when everyone gets on, man. It's and the thing is, you have more likelihood to get on because you're all out of your natural environment,
and you need each other because you're a bunch of English and Irish people gathered together, and all of a sudden you're in France. And you're like, hold on, do you know the language here? No? Well, we got to stick together here. Do you know what I mean? And that's even just from that simple thing, or the fact that we're all into cars. It's not. We've had a lot of people that come on our trips that aren't into cars, man. That just want to come for the adventure and the stories and the crack, And it's not a holiday. You sign up, you pay your entry fee. We include a lot of stuff. Your apparel, your hotel rooms, your accommodation, breakfast, as much as we can, we throw everything at.
Sounds like brilliant fun, man.
Yeah, and then people just come just to like you come out with these with friends for life, and I mean that. But some of my best friends in the whole world are from these events that I've been participating in and organizing over the years, and we decided that we needed to have our own version of it, and that's where Crusade was born. So yeah.
You got some nice pictures up there on the gram as well. You keep it classy.
We like keeping it tasteful. Yeah, it's not constantly, hey, buy this. It's ran by petrol heads for petrol heads, and not only that, it's kind of like gives you a lifestyle aspect of what we do on the events. With the people we get involved and stuff, and we just try and keep it. We're just trying to, for lack of a better word, we're just trying to keep it cool and chill, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not too pretentious and which some of them can be,
As Simon O'Toole said down here, man, COVID is some balls, missing the road trips. Like every year, you got to have at least one road trip with the lad.
Yeah, I was on a road trip today. I left my house at 5 o'clock this morning, and I got in at 9 o'clock tonight. But it was to pick up a very special motor vehicle that's now currently parked outside.
Oh yeah, the F12.
The F12, yeah.
It's funny.
Very nice.
Last at the end of 2019, when you were like, oh, I'm in Dublin driving this, and it was the F12, and I was like, can you please pick me up from the airport? And that didn't work out, unfortunately. But it was like, what a way to arrive in Dublin, just getting picked up in a Ferrari.
I promise you, if you fly into Dublin, I'll pick you up in that. But if you fly into the UK, I'll pick you up in the McLaren. So either way, let's do something.
Yeah, that sounds fucking sweet, man. Yeah, well, there's also we've had a chat about combining comedy and the crack. Obviously, we've been going 2.5 hours now, and we're not running out of crack. We're bouncing things off. So we've just, we've come up. We're fucking brainstorming. We're pitching an idea of us having like a real low key, chilled out like car series on YouTube.
Yeah, I think it'd be great, man. I think it would. I think car things are very, and I'll probably get crucified for saying it, but car things are too much about cars nowadays. They're not enough about the crack.
Yeah, they should be more of a set, like the setting for the crack. Like, when we were talking about Top Gear yesterday, where it's like Top Gear got too wanky, man. Everyone's like the new Top Gear format, and like I was sort of really weird that these lads are all sitting around nice and chilled out on couches, yet everyone has to stand around just looking at them, going, ha, 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 ha. And I just thought it was like
dad jokes the entire time.
Yeah, and then the cinematic operatic fucking shots of this is the new Lamborghini Gallardo. It's smoother than fucking John Paul Gaultier on track.
You done the same thing yesterday. It's smoother than Well, Mark, help us out here, man. It's the hour grows late. My brain broken. We could probably get a few Clarkson comments down in the comment section as well.
Well, the crackbait like Clarkson as well. Like I think everyone forgets is like, what did he actually say to the Irish guy that he punched? Like there was a bit of fucking slander there to about an Irishman, I think.
Yeah.
Do you know when he got fired? Do you know when he got fired? He said, like, you fucking little Irish prick or something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's fucking. What do you expect is Jeremy Clarkson, man? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure he's fucking said worse to other people and gotten away with it.
Yeah, I'm sure he has. Like, eventually got caught up with it. Like,
Stuart Lee did a great bit about him where he was talking about where he made fun out of Gordon Brown being like half blind or something, and he said, you know what? It got a lot of great laughs, especially from Richard the Hammond hamster, not a real hamster. And he was in the background laughing, going, ah, ha, 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 ha. He kept going on about it. He goes, I hope. So it was a joke. It was a bit of a laugh. I hope that Richard the Hammond hamster, he's driving down the road in a really fast car, and he hits an oil slick and the car blows up into flames and his head comes off and it rolls down the track in the broken glass and the flames. And the last thing Richard the Hammond hamster, not a real hamster, says as his eyes start going to a close is, and I can't remember what the punchline, he goes, it's only a joke. It's only a joke. Like the one that they make on Top Gear. But that's his whole thing. He had a great joke about Princess Diana as well, which was the royal wedding, and he's like, I remember that fateful day when Lady Diana died, and I remember looking at all the floral tributes there outside Buckingham Palace, and amongst all the sea of flowers and children's tears, there was a life-size inflatable model of E.T. And I thought to myself, how did that get there? So then he just goes into this whole bit about a guy waking up on that sad Sunday morning, the wife coming in, waking him up, and he's like, come on, it's 7 o'clock. I wasn't going to get up to about 11, and even then I'd be in my pants. So it goes on and on and on. She goes, Princess Diana, the Queen of Hearts, she's dead. Oh no! And then he goes, not the Queen of Hearts. And he gets up, and she goes, you know what you've got to do. And he's like, I've got to go down and buy that life-size inflatable model of E.T.
Man,
That was me paraphrasing a 10-minute bit into like 45 seconds.
I'd love a life-size inflatable of ET.
Yeah, me too. I'll see if you can get one online, man. Put the link up.
You can get the baby Trump.
I wouldn't be a patch on ET.
It was a bit fucking ridiculous. And then they had a baby said he can as well. Didn't get as popular. The inflatable Trump.
Here, there's Teresa Barkley life-size inflatable model, and she's. See if I can put this in the chat, man.
Can you post pictures in? Can you?
I think you can, man. It'd be brilliant if you could. Have a look at that if you can open that one up.
I need you to copy the URL.
Yeah, open that up and have a look, man. This is like how much is it? $16.99, man. That's
a fucking bargain.
May not post to Sweden, unfortunately. That's a fucking
Teresa Barkley life-size inflatable blow-up doll. How has this got to this point of this conversation? Like,
how many have they sold?
Oh man, if you look
from the seller information, Funky Bunky, 99.4% positive feedback.
Well, but you know what? The funny thing is, lads, if you look at the box with Teresa Barkley on it, and then look at the doll's face, I mean, look at the difference. It's like talk about false advertising.
It's uncanny, really. I think it's well to scale. I love the 30-day refund if you're not happy with your what happens.
Well, it's PS2 versus PS5, I reckon.
What with the quality of this blow-up doll? How experienced are you with blow-up dolls?
I've actually found a life-size ET pal here. You can purchase it at this link. I think they might be sold out, but
I hope you're getting commissions for all these links that you're putting up there, Mark.
Apparently, if you work as an Amazon partner, you can make videos and make a commission from doing that. But like, who the hell wants to be doing Amazon videos all day?
Or this new thing, I doubt it's new, but like this drop selling thing that people are doing.
Oh yeah, that's in every fucking second picture on Instagram is like buy these biker rings. You know, like it's basically they go straight to the manufacturer in China, and then what you do basically is you make a video in Europe or the States, and it's all bang bang ding ding boom bam ding ding all this kind of shit, and have some like cool people wearing the stuff, and then you basically just go directly from the depot. You don't even touch the stuff, and you're the middleman, and you just
have a website or Instagram or something like that.
And it's all automated. It's
fair play.
Yeah, so if you're into doing that, but I think we will wrap up the night because I've it's been nearly 3 hours. So, good luck to anyone who stuck around for the podcast this long, fair folks. No, but it's been good crack talking with you lads, and it's good to see the two brothers in the same screen, man.
It's like looking in the mirror.
Lovely to meet you, Al.
Likewise, bro, and great talk, man.
Yeah, mate, it was great. We can look. Now I know how to do this. Fucking man.
You know,
anytime you like.
Podcast. You know how to do this.
Yeah, I know how to do this now. But I think everything previously was through OBS, and I just found like it was a bit too confusing for a man of such easy distractions. But this seems to be working out grand. And if I can, there is actually apparently a way where you can actually do screen share. So maybe let me see.
Test the waters.
Oh, you can do a video file. Okay, so that's good. Well. Yeah, I think we can actually we can.
Well, look, you have your microphone and the pink like headphones, so completely.
Yeah, man, the pink headphones, man, purely rocking them out.
Yeah, next time I'm gonna get some funky headphones. That's for sure.
All right, well, I'll see you
on again. That's for sure.
I'm gonna get some fluffy pink earmuff kind of headphones and just wear nothing.
Just grow your hair over your ears and you'll be grand.
I had that for the most part of my life, and I kind of prefer my hair now, even though I haven't had a haircut since bloody before Christmas because of COVID.
Who has, Al? Who has?
You know who has? People who break the COVID rules. That's
Nancy Pelosi.
Wear it out.
So before we go, how is it anyway? Is it really boring over there now in England? And then I'll ask you, Mark, as well. Is it?
There's nothing. You're stuck inside. You're like no pubs, no, can't even go to the shops. Like the best you can do is a Tesco. Like that's it.
Going to Tesco is like the highlight of my day. Like that's why I don't do a weekly shop, so I can go once a day. So I'm like, oh wow,
Do the big shop. Do the big shop.
Ooh, Tesco.
I mean, so basically, everyone's just, you know, under curfew.
There's no actual curfew of times, but like there's a radius that you like strictly allowed in. Now, whether you break that or not, you know, you're not allowed to go out to other people's houses. You can have a bubble. Like I live by myself, so I go over and see my girlfriend. But like other than that, I haven't seen anyone else. Like,
I heard that in Sweden, there's 500,000 people who apparently have corona at the moment.
what's the population of 6 million, 7 million?
So, yeah, 10, I think maybe 11 million. But they reckon that it's like 1 in 19 people have it. But I think just fucking it's gonna. I think, look, I'm not going into fucking talking about this, but I just think
Another 3 hour,
We'll be here for another 3 hours, yeah.
But I just think fucking get on with it, man. Just fucking open up. It's fucking, you know,
everybody feels the same, bro. Everybody feels the exact same as you.
It's doing more fucking damage than good at this stage. Like, you know, just they know it long enough. It's fucking not. It's not novel anymore. It was novel when it came out in the first fucking couple of months, but now, you know, you just without sounding flippant, like everyone was expecting it to be Ebola or something fucking mad, where it's basically, you know, people are being wheeled out of the houses dead. Thank God that hasn't happened. And I think, you know, just fucking get on with it, man. I was watching BBC News today. It was like, first thing was, I fucking mentioned it, so now it's gonna be like, there'll probably be some bullshit about, I don't know, but where they're saying basically they're coming out, you know, the numbers are down, but still not down far enough.
Then don't mention it. Don't say that. Just get on with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, even the positive news, like when the numbers do drop, they put in something else as well. That, oh yeah, but the death rate is higher, or oh yeah, it's more transmissible. It's like keep an eye on the numbers. Open up. Lockdown when they need to lock down when it's really really bad. But then, like the media shouldn't be the ones spinning it either. It should be like
media driven. It's like
there should be number based kind of like science facts on why we should be in lockdowns and why we shouldn't. The media is just completely in control.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna if you guys in the chat want to watch something fun after this, there's an amazing documentary I watched the other night about this guy called, his name was Paul Sykes, spent most of his life in prison, and he was he actually had a shot at being a heavyweight boxer. But this guy, man, so basically when he came out of prison, he needed to become like an enforcer for this lad who you've got to see. His desk is it's a fucking wooden desk, but with a Rolls Royce grill stuck on the front of it and two headlights.
That guy.
Yeah, and I've seen his mutton chops, man. And
Yeah. I've seen this before, man.
Now, Paul, when you drink, when you're not drinking, you're an educated man. But when you drink, you're a fucking maniac. And but he's talking about. He says something really that really succinctly puts things in perspective. He goes, "You got lads who buy newspapers. I don't buy the papers. I go down myself and I take a look for myself." And it's like that's basically look around, man.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But
there's no like when this started happening, man. I just thought in my head Resident Evil.
Yeah,
same
as.
Here we go.
Yeah, Train to Busan, man. Do you know what I mean?
Kennedy go, get over here, get down, get to the chopper.
Stop it.
Stop. But it's just gone like, it's the flu.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who you talk to. Like, if you're looking on
depends
Twitter,
what age you're. But for us, it's the flu.
Yeah, but so what? So does going outside depend on how old you are as well. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just
going to a fucking nightclub is dangerous. You're going out, you can get your head kicked in. Walking through fucking traffic is dangerous. Swimming is dangerous. Like today, I walked on a fucking frozen lake. Like, I mean, loads of people have been there, but I felt the heebie-jeebies getting on this frozen lake. And when I came to a part where there was like a very small crack, I was like, "Oh, I'm getting off the lake now." But like, not out in Stockholm. but not like a lake outside a city.
Oh,
but I was like, everything has a risk, but still, the price you pay for living life is you do your best to mitigate any risk at all times, and taking needless risk is fucking pointless.
Always wear it, Johnny.
Double bag. But the thing is, I'll leave you with the saying: ships are safest in harbour, but that's not what they're built for.
Exactly. Did you hear that, Pricey? My business partner is a seafood.
Bring him in, man. Bring him in.
Come here for a sec. We want to just have you in. Come here. Say goodbye to the boys. This is the guy who owns the F12, but he'll appreciate it. He owns fishing boats.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What? Say that again, Martin. We'll end it on that bombshell.
On that bombshell. How are you, Pricey? Hey. Any crack? Do you know this lad from Scary is underneath?
Oh, yeah, well, I'm from Scaries myself.
Are you? How's it going, man?
Beside Argyll and Castle.
Do you know Mark Mulholland, do you?
Go on, give us this line.
Oh, yeah. Basically a nice little analogy for life, especially with the times we live in, with the whole fucking helicoptering and micromanagement of everything. Ships are safest in harbour, but that's not what they're built for.
That's very true, yeah.
You wouldn't catch much fish in the fucking harbour now, would you?
You would catch a cold.
You might get a couple of mackerel.
Yeah, you might.
Hey, the F12's looking sweet.
Oh, it looks amazing.
Sky blue. Yeah, it's a nice
Sky
good.
boy. That's what we're going to call it. The Sky Boy.
Get Hardy Bucks written on the side, man. Get a nice little detail.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what? Hardy Bucks have their own fucking Ferrari. What's next?
I'll tell you.
That's season 5.
They need a series before they get a Ferrari.
Oh man, hey. I'll get trials for I'll ride to the moon on a mountain bike and back.
Martin, if you get Hardy Bucks season 5, we'll give you the Ferrari for the entire filming of it. That is a fact.
Man. You know, we were saying, right, if you can get Monster Energy to sponsor like a mini series of the Hardy Bucks, I'd say we can get that done. But I was thinking it'd be fucking hilarious that if everything in the show was just monster, like Sam arrives, he's completely branded in Monster. It's like, fucking hell, man, where'd you get the Monster jacket? Oh, the Monster Boys. He's just driving around in fucking Silaites covered in like drift cars, fucking monster. And then I think just like throw it into the mix for a laugh. I think that'd be good crack now.
I tell you. But right, boys, we'll end it. I'm gonna
Good bless, lads. Man, Pricey, fair play for coming in the last minute.
See you later, boys.
Good luck, lads. Take care. And thanks everyone else for sticking around, watching as long as you have. I've been Mark Maloney. That was Mark Mulholland. That was Pricey, and the main man himself, Al Harris from fuck that, but the main man himself, Al Harris from Crusade. And follow him there on spread the word. Did you get any of the lads to watch? Did you?
Any of the boys from Crusade?
Yeah, your mates.
Yeah, a few of them have been texting me going, "You're telling a few fibs on that story, hey."
She grew fucking legs, did she?
She did, yeah.
As Crix Kick says in the comment section, I have a girlfriend and she is so blow.
Yeah, that is Pricey's girlfriend is the F12. So that is very accurate.
She's a nice touch. I'll appreciate that, lad. You're a good skin. Good luck, everyone.